Boom. Let me go ahead and press record. Want to welcome you all to our second TLA Prep officially. This is the day earlier version, or the NLG session that we're going to be running on Friday morning. So excited. Last NLG session, we really just were laying a framework for the topics and discussion that we really want to go through throughout this fall. So excited to unveil and unleash some stuff to you all here today. So I want to kick things off with a quick round of, we have a smaller group so we can do it. Just what's hot and what you appreciate. Actually, you can just, what's hot, what you appreciate. We'll go around the horn real quickly. For time-wise, keep it try to 30 seconds or less. Keep it fast here, and we'll go down the list. So let me start off. Audrey, can you kick us off?
Sure. So what's hot right now in the Tampa office? I'm getting on a roll with the SMRA program, like getting in my groove, which is really cool. And I appreciate all my Tampa peeps. I love you guys.
Nice. All right, let's go to Rochelle, and then we'll go to Cassidy.
Definitely. So what's hot is having the chance to collaborate with Audrey and Mike last week and find some better efficiencies for the office and whatnot. And what do I appreciate? Definitely, I don't mean to be a copycat, but honestly, the Tampa team is just so awesome, so supportive, and I love all of them so much.
Love it. Let's go to Cassidy, and we'll go to Mason.
Awesome. So what's hot is right now we're doing sections of the team, and right now me and Lindsay are doing onboarding. So we're kind of getting a little bit more fundamentally sound with onboarding, which is really exciting. And what I appreciate, my Tampa team. I love you guys.
All right, let's go to Mason, and we'll go to Julia.
What's hot is I made a trip down to Tampa, and I appreciate my family.
Are you in Tampa right now?
Yeah, it was my mom's birthday yesterday.
Okay,
Surprised
cool.
her.
Yeah, I remember you texting me. Nice. You guys have a little surprise for her?
Well, no, I just kind of showed up and just.
You were the surprise.
Yeah, I was the surprise. Just walked in. She was on the exercise bike. Just walked in.
Hey, what's up? Nice. All right, let's go to Julia, and we'll go to Adrian.
What's hot is I'm in Miami right now to help out with my family a little bit because my mom had to get surgery, but she's good, so I appreciate that. And also my close friends that I've made through here, my circle of influence, the people I talk to. I appreciate them.
Love it. Let's go to Adrian, and then we will go to I'll let guests share a little bit too. Then we'll go to Juliana.
Okay, what's hot? We got TLA Prep tomorrow, second so far, and NLG today. And what I appreciate the Miami Heat and Tyler Hero.
Hey, the hero we deserve, or the hero we didn't need, we deserve. All right, let's go to Juliana, and we'll go to Tasso.
Definitely. So what's hot is that I got to book some same-day appointments this morning in a small phone jam, so that was awesome. And what I really do appreciate is just everyone I get to speak to on a daily basis. I really thrive off of everybody's energy and on the team, and they just bring me a lot of light. So I appreciate that.
Awesome. Let's go to Tasso, and we'll go to Anthony Marino.
So I did an early demo this morning. I got 6 recs. And I appreciate just the team that I'm in, the Sarasota Bradenton branch. I'm surrounding myself with the right people, and I get to learn from Alex and Eddie de las Cuevas, and they're just really good people to learn from.
Awesome. They are. Let's go to Anthony, and let's go to Alex.
What's hot is definitely the SL2 push, and I really appreciate my family.
Cassie's laughing. SLC push, but I'm glad that's hot, and glad you appreciate your family. Thanks, Anthony, for chiming in. Let's go to Alex, and we'll go to Noah.
What's hot is I don't have coronavirus, and what I appreciate is my family.
Everyone's like, all right, great. Let's go to Noah, and we'll go to Leah.
What's hot is that my mini team is doing really well right now, especially one fast starter in particular. And what I appreciate is Alex and Eddie for just being so supportive.
Awesome. Appreciate Alex and Eddie too. Let's go to Leah, and then we'll go to Justice.
Yeah, so what's hot is I just came back home from Miami to Dunedin. And so just hanging out with the family, the cats, my boyfriend, and I just really appreciate them. Heading back to Miami soon.
Is this like the everyone go back home weekend? Allegedly. Cool. Let's go to Gelsis and we'll go to Tyler.
All right, so what's hot is that, like I said, like a while ago, I got a friend on the team and we were able to like phone jam on Wednesday, and it was really fun because we were like pushing each other to like do more. And I really appreciate the team because everybody's always so supportive and super helpful.
All right, let's go to Tyler and then we'll go to Nick.
What's hot is I have a lot of demos booked out for today and tomorrow. I'm booking up some more for tomorrow and also Sunday morning. So big weekend. And what I appreciate is like being able to reach out to people that I know like through work. You know, I feel like Vector allowed me to meet a lot of people that actually support me like in life, not just in work. So it's cool to be able to reach out and just get that support from like the people I work with.
Cool. Yeah, you don't find that everywhere. So glad you appreciate that. Let's go to Nick and we'll go to Liz.
What's hot right now is I'm building on my circle of influence. I'm going to learn how to journal soon. I'm planning my schedule out, things like that. That's what's hot right now.
Nice. And what do you appreciate?
Oh, I'm appreciative of everything. You know, just being here, you know, being alive, everything. So
life is a 10. All right, let's go to Liz and we'll go to Taylor.
All right, so what's hot is yesterday I just reorganized my entire desk and I feel so much better. And I appreciate the Tampa team and Mike and all the people that are like leaders on the team too.
Awesome. Let's go to Taylor and we'll wrap it up with Jessica Shannon and then Jonathan.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so what's hot right now is I'm going back to Sarasota today, which doesn't seem like it's much of a surprise because we're doing some like Sarasota Clearwater stuff tomorrow, which is kind of exciting that we get to do TLA together. And then something I appreciate, I thought I had an essay due on Wednesday, but I tricked myself and it's actually due tomorrow. So I really appreciate myself for doing that because I don't know if it would have been done to like the best of my ability on Wednesday or not.
Cool. Nice. Oh, so you got I thought you were saying it was due next Wednesday and you found out it was due tomorrow. No, it was due this past Wednesday and then you found out you had an extension. That's always nice. All right, let's go to Jess and then we'll wrap up with Jonathan.
What's hot is I'm running a couple sections of training today while Mike's gone, so I'm really excited for that. And what I appreciate is Lindsay Holstrom letting me stay in her apartment for a week, so I get away from my roommates for a minute.
Cool. That's always nice. Let's go to Jonathan and take us home.
What's hot? Other than this NLG session, Miami Heat, I've got a bet with my Orgo teacher right now. He's a Boston native. That if the Heat win this next game, I get 100 on the next quiz. So fingers crossed, but I know we're gonna do it.
Friday night, baby.
What happened? Oh yeah, dude.
Last game.
What happens if they lose?
Oh, if they lose?
They won't.
If they lose, I get a -5. It was a bet I was willing to take.
Yeah, that's fire.
That's a good bet. Those are good odds there.
Yeah, and then what do I appreciate? I appreciate being back in the just helping out in the Metro office as well too. Returning, getting some sales up, and
nice. Yeah, picking up some steam. It's good to have you back there. So, all right, gang. Well, let's go ahead and kick things off. I want to again, and I'm gonna. I'll preface this again ahead of time. We have a lot of first years here, and I definitely will tell you that some of the stuff. I mean, again, you're getting the more advanced version of things, and some things are going to be like, I'm running this call for our NLG next level group for the people. It's their first, or it's not their first year through TLA, second and third years. So that's the way I'm going to explain things. I'm going to be talking and speaking to them on this call. But if you're a guest on this call, I still think there's going to be a whole lot of value. And like I said, you're getting that next level taste. So if anything confuses you, or if we're going through stuff and you're like, I don't even know what this is, it's all right. We'll get there eventually. And you're getting a little sneak peek ahead of the rest of the TLA class here too. This is our second NLG session. It's really good. And by the way, I know There were some people that had like pre-excused things, and some people are doing like watching the recording of this. So you will see all of this later. But it's always interesting to see who shows up to these meetings and who shows up to these events, like I said, because it's for anyone that, I mean, this is really when I think about the future of our division. I think about our NLG class and the people that are on this call. And even if you're a first year, you know, I would probably hold you in that regards. If you're on this call, it really it kind of shows me who's serious candidates, serious about branch, and who's not so serious. As we started to get into more and more TLA preps, I think that separation is going to continue to be created. I think tomorrow I'll announce a little bit of the vision that we have for next year and beyond. Things are hot. Things are cooking up. Things are heating up, if you will, in the Florida coast heat. And we have we'll probably have, well, I'll get to a little bit more tomorrow, but I do want to say that, you know, Florida coast is probably going to have more development and more offices deployed than almost any division of the company next summer. And what's exciting too about that is, you know, around while all of that is happening, not only we're going to go from, I'll unveil it a little bit more tomorrow. I'll save a little bit of it here now, but what's exciting about that is the fact that, you know, we're going to be expanding in size. We're doubling and tripling the size of the division. We're going to have an opportunity to export, and we're going to have an opportunity to staff the rest of the region. You know, so people that come from this year of NLG, this year of TLA, this TLA class, I mean, the skills that you all develop, even if you're working in the coast or if you're working beyond and outside of that, there's gonna be a lot of exciting opportunities. But I also want to remind you too, it's gonna be, it is more competitive than it's ever been. And it is, would be bad on my part, I think, to not also say that, you know. So I really want to encourage you guys that as you're coming to these meetings and as you're coming to these calls, you know, like I think years ago, like you could have, you know, expressed your interest to branch, and, you know, as long as you did like the very basic stuff, like you're going to be good. And I think it's still important, like, hey, if you're funded and trained, you're going to have an opportunity. But I do want to let you know, and it would be wrong for me to say that this is the most competitive TLA class year that we've ever had. You know, it's going to be more competitive than ever to have a spot. The actual territories themselves will be more competitive. And there'll be great options for the people that are well-trained and well-funded here going into the year too. So I want to real quickly take a second to open up. And a part of this is just a review from our very first NLG session. You know, the last session we talked about choose growth. And I think it's very, very relevant for me to kind of review a little bit of the stuff that we talked about on our very first call. You know, we really talked about that. This is kind of like the first time I started introducing the idea of the year before the big year. And, you know, if you guys notice, I really want to start being able to paint vision for 2021 and beyond. But what I'm really focused on is still this year in 2020, because what we're doing now is going to impact what we do and how we perform and who we are in 2021 and beyond. And, you know, if we want to have a big year, right, there's things that you have to do. And by the way, when I say we, I mean like us as a division, but also you and your own individual performance. If you want to have a truly big or epic year, or epic summer next summer, you know, what you're doing right now is setting up your fall. You know, we have there's 103 days left in the year, by the way. Okay. It takes 30 days to build a habit, 90 days to build a lifestyle. What you're doing right now from now until the end of the year is going to impact how you actually go into 2021. And so I think this is a good opportunity because we've had a month since our first TLA prep. And I want you guys to do a serious audit on this call. Like, what have you done? What are you doing? And where's your head at, you know, going in after the first month of TLA? You know, we talked about choosing growth, but are you choosing growth, right? We talked about the year before the big year, but are you making this the year before the big year? It's not about making next year the big year. It's about making this the year before the big year. And it's like, what are you doing to set that stuff up? So, you know, we talked about a couple different things. And before I kind of get into it, well, actually, I'm going to come back to our standards here in a second. We talked about, hey, if you want to choose growth, there are, you know, four things that you need to start doing. Number one is develop self-awareness. And that's one of the things that we're going to do today. So we're going to spend a little bit of time going through a live BVOY exercise, which will be a good exercise, I think, for everybody on the call. Even myself, I'll probably do it while I'm going through it. Just to kind of rank yourself and evaluate yourself and have more awareness of really where you are at with both your personal training and your personal life, as well as your Cutco business and setting it up for the next summer. Second thing is be intentional about your growth. Like you have to be intentional about, you can't just like, yeah, I want to grow. You have to be intentional about what you want to grow in, which is why we'll actually have a plan. And that's part of the exercise that we'll do today is creating a EDGE plan coming out of this call and coming out of this event. So you have some direction moving forward. Third thing, you got to be hungry for growth, right? You can't get satisfied. And then the fourth thing was to start thinking about 2021 now. And when I say thinking, I'm like, I also want to encourage you guys. I had a good conversation with Mason Linker, earlier this week, and we're talking about, someone from our division. As most of you guys know, I hold the branch record for biggest branch summer. It was like $680,000 of sales. Kyle Lopes pretty damn close this year. I was getting a little nervous there. He sold like 600 grand this summer as a branch, and fell short just by a little bit, like by 80 grand. And I was happy he did, not because I want my record to last forever. I hope it's gone next summer. But I want it to be someone from this team, that is going out there and doing that. So, me and Mason have talked about it beforehand. He's expressed a lot of interest in doing that. And one of the conversations that I had with him was even before my big summer, to be honest, like part of what I was doing in the fall, I'd say like half of it, and this is going to sound crazy, and this is not what I want you to take away from this call, but half of it was like, dude, I was thinking about the summer before it happened. And, I had already seen it unfold. I kind of what I share with Mason is, hey, the spring is for execution, so like my office started in January. And the fall was my planning. Like I didn't wait to the spring to start planning out how I was going to open up my office and things like that. It's like I started doing it in the fall. I was doing all the number crunching. I was thinking about all the people we could bring into the organization to make it happen. And because I wanted to kind of have everything figured out. So like this goal seemed a lot more attainable in my mind. And by November, December, I was like, I could have told you in December that we were going to break the record. It was like something like we already knew. Like I already knew it was going to happen, and I kind of had just seen it happen so many times in my own head that it was easier for that to unfold in the summer. Now granted, by the way, okay, I'm sitting here telling you like the power, like visualization is powerful, manifesting your goals is powerful. And like, there is a lot of power and value in like thinking about not just like, all right, I want to have a good summer next summer, but like really thinking about like the experience that you want to have, how you want to feel, what it's going to look like. Like I had replayed so many things in my head over and over and over again that it just, when it actually came time to it, it just became more reality. So it's setting yourself in the future and doing some of that visualization. And by the way, that's also not going to just like, you can't just sit there and visualize and put no energy into it. Like, it's like, you got to see it and then actually apply the work. But I think it's easier to apply the work when you can see the vision clearly in your own head. But I also want to be clear too, that just like sitting at home and visualizing and thinking about next summer, but not training or doing anything is also not going to get you very far. So I think that's the fourth thing is start thinking about now. And we talked about circles of influence. The reason I'm reviewing this, okay, is because I really ask yourself is like, are you doing these things? Are you doing these things right now? We talked about abundant leadership and what it means to co-create with this group. I think about like just the camaraderie that can be built in some of this group. And there's a lot of people that have really, really good relationships, but like, are we doing this? Are we better together than we are, in our individual separate parts? And I'll just tell you guys this. I think that the risk that this team has is hubris, right? Which who knows what hubris is? Hubris is like defined as almost like an over self-confidence. This is something that's common for an athlete or for a company. Anytime that they've done very, very well. It's the idea. It's why it's hard. It's why it's one thing to win a championship, right? It's another thing to be a team that wins 3 championships. It's a much bigger deal, or 2 championships or 3 championships, because it's very, very common when teams win or they have a lot of success. Coming off of that, a lot of people, they get hubris and they expect, oh, well, we won this year. We'll train. We'll just do the same thing we did last year. We'll probably win again, and they think they can get the exact same results by doing the exact same work. But that's what hubris really is. It's the idea that, it's expecting, it's kind of like, oh, I ran a branch my first time, so the second time I run it, I'll automatically do better. Not true. I've seen branches do worse the second time. Now, not too many from this division, but I've seen it happen. And I think that the what you have to be careful of is hubris. going into this fall, and just expecting, hey, just because I am better and I've already done it, and I did a summer as a BM or a summer as an AM, next summer is going to be easier. But I want to encourage you guys is that, hey, guess what? Remember in March, we created a whole new business. You guys remember when we changed everything and flipped our entire company up on our head? And, guess what? Like a lot of the stuff that we were doing last summer was just kind of like hodgepodge, put a Band-Aid on the thing to have it, give it a solution. And it wasn't really like a program. It wasn't the best practice. It wasn't, how to get the best results. It was just like, this works and we're running with this, for the next couple months. But now over the fall, we are starting to get to a point where, we are coming up with the best practices. And I'll tell you what, if you're not engaged this fall, if you're not actively choosing growth, you're going to miss out. You're going to be behind on a lot of things too. So, when I think about abundant leadership, I do think I'm really excited to work with this group. I'm really proud of this group too. And I think there's some area of opportunity. I think there's an area of opportunity like for communication in the NLG chat. I'll talk about that here in a second. But I think if you're on this call, and I know there's a lot of first years here, but I'm really talking to our second years and third years on this call is that hey, look, leaders lead. Right. And if you want to be a leader in this organization, if you want to be a leader in this division, then you need to step up and lead the way. And, that might mean hey, the chat responses and things like that too. I'll tell you what, from a division manager perspective, it's pretty frustrating when the chat that I have the most trouble getting any feedback or response from is my next level group. Y'all are the ones that are supposed to be helping facilitate the rest of the TLA chat. Y'all are the ones that are the drill. Half y'all have ran offices before. You're the people that I expect to be the most on point with communication, not the people that I'm messaging 3 or 4 times to try to get a response out of. I think about even the matrix scores. I published this and y'all have this too, but and you guys can go actually there and check out on the sheet. But I think too, it's hey, you're in NLG. And, if you're a part of this group, by the way, before I even talk about scores and things like that too, you guys, I'm excited and I like working with you. And most of you all I've developed relationships with, and you've been working here longer than just, one summer on the job, so you're a part of this group. We're excited and happy to have you here. And I think having the matrix scores actually live, and which we, haven't always been able to see the actual numbers in previous years, I think it gives you guys a good telling of hey, cool, where's everyone actually at? In their skill set, in their career sales, in their startup, what are your, it's kind of you can be around for a long time, but what are your stats? How much Cutco have you sold? How actually good at selling are you? How much money, how good at managing your money actually are you? Where are your intangible skills at all these different things? I think it's it's a good thing to pay attention to. And so, now granted, the vast majority of these people are next level group, as I well expect them to be. And, there's some next level group that aren't even on this tab. There's some people on this call that, are lower than first year candidates, and that probably shouldn't be the case. So I think about just an opportunity to challenge yourself and seek out where are my areas of opportunity. And again, you have to have some self-awareness, because your areas of opportunity are not necessarily, the same as the person next to you. Jess, you've got different things to work on than Jonathan. Jonathan, you got different things to work on than Adrian, And so you have to have some self-awareness, because it's not all the same. But you guys need to have some awareness. And I think here's what I'll just say about this. I think there's an opportunity for leaders to emerge out of this group. And everyone in here I've worked with in some capacity, you guys are leaders. And who's going to be the leader of the leaders? That's really what I'm looking to see. And typically around this point, as we get closer to October and closer to our Olean time period, usually there starts to be some front runners in the group. There starts to be some people that kind of emerge out of the NLG group and start leading the TLA class. And I don't think anyone's quite done that yet. And there's still a lot of time, in front of us here too. So, but I think that's an opportunity here. And I want to encourage you that, if you want to be a leader in this division, then you have to lead the way. And that might mean through pushing, through selling, through communication. And just know that there's always different ways to lead. And that kind of brings me back to what I skipped over the first time, which is going back to just the core tenets and the pillars of the heat. Having a high performance mindset, energetic leadership, being consistent, ACE weekly, and then showing up as a true professional. Texting me 15 minutes before or a day before that you have an exam, which means you didn't know you had an exam, or you scheduled it specifically when you knew we had a TLA call. And that's not true professionalism. You know, I don't expect that from our NLG class. The way you show with energy, I never have to worry about this group with energy. Y'all are always really good with that. But, you know, having a high performance mindset, even just, again, I think like your nature of like, hey, how can you expand your capacity? Are you doing anything to step up for SLC? I think these are important questions to be asking yourself and say like, hey, am I doing this? Am I representing these pillars? Am I holding myself to these standards? Because again, you know, if you really want to create a truly epic 2021 for yourself, it really starts with what you're doing this fall. You know, and every single summer that I had in our business, I can point back to exactly what I did that fall, the books I read, the people I spoke to, the phone calls I got on, the training that I did, the staff meetings that I attended, and how that shaped and formed my summer, you know. And every single year when we got like, you know, better and better results, literally every single year for my first 4 years in the business, we almost doubled every single summer in sales. And I can really point back to like, hey, here's the things that I did. Here's the people that I spoke to. Here's the things that I learned. Here's the things I was intentional about, you know, working on too. So you're going to grow just through going through TLA. But I think it's up to you and on your shoulders on how far you're going to actually take that, you know, on really diving in on the assignments or just doing the assignments. You know, getting the most out of the books and doing the readings, or like skimming it over to get the book report in on time. You know, and that's going to be your choice. So I encourage you guys as we're going into it to be, again, just focus in that growth mindset. I also want to remind you guys of our Focus 5. So, you know, this is something I'll talk about a little bit more tomorrow, but there's a lot of shit, if you will. There's a lot of stuff to do in our business. There's so many different, like, it's very, very easy to get lost in how many different things there are going on in general every single day. You know, and we're going to talk about a little bit like what are the objectives of every single day. But I also want you guys to know for training, this is also going to help clarify. It's like there's a million things you could probably train on and get better at here in the meantime. So what's important, this is kind of like the new Florida Coast Focus 5. And these are like the 5, I'd say, categories and areas where, you know, honestly, if you know how to do these things, you're going to run a really damn good office. That's it. I think there's extra opportunities, but you're going to run a really good office. And I think there's a bigger and better opportunity this year than ever. You know, as a lot of you all know, you know, now some of you all will run training next summer. If you're going to be a district manager, you're probably running training. If you're going to be, you know, a second or a third time branch, you might run your own training. But for a lot of you on this call, you don't even have to run training, you know? So guess what NLG usually is for the first 4 months? Just the training seminar, you know? So that gives us an opportunity where we can either, okay, cool, we have way less to cover now. So, you know, we could just do less, or we could spend more time diving into another area of opportunity, you know? And I think that's what we need to choose to do. So this is our Focus 5 PR program. And this is, and I'll give an overview for kind of everybody on the call. So, you know, this is our personal recruit program. So, do you know how the traditional PRs work? Rep-driven PRs, steroid PRs, Facebook, fire number, generating quality recruits, and how to execute great triple threats. Best practices, so just knowing how to do weekly staff marks, benchmark PDI, run a phone jam really, really well virtually. You know, how to execute a virtual phone jam at a high level. Our SMRA program. So number one, like finding SMRAs, training them, onboarding, current management, and do you know how to run a year-round sustainable program? That is, by the way, like a huge opportunity, I think, for everyone is our SMRA program 4.0. You know, a lot of us, we hired SMRAs, but something you might know right now that's happening in a lot of our district offices is, you know, I think Clearwater and Sarasota have hired 15 to 20 SMRAs in the past month, you know, and this is the middle of the fall. And the reason that they're hiring so many is because they are building out a sustainable program where literally almost 90% of their SMRAs that start the job are going through the 3 cycles of, you know, starting the job and doing social media messaging, PR calling, and they're all moving into the sales role. And they have something that's consistent, you know, so they're constantly hiring people. So every single week they got 3 or 4 people in training that are SMRAs, you know, so they're constantly tapping to new networks, constantly getting their fire number and their PR set number for their office, and constantly getting some sharp ass reps into training that, by the way, after that become management candidates because they already know how to PR call. They already know how to do social media work. They've already sold at a high level. And they become really, really scoop up TLA candidates here too. So, yes, do you know how to run the SMRI program? But do you know how to execute this program at a very, very high level? Last two things is our Fast Start program, which I think is one of the biggest areas of opportunity for us right now, divisionally. Is this is an area that we kind of missed out on in the summer. I think some of the virtual dynamics made us forget about how to run a good, how to really manage someone through their first 10 days. So you know how to target reps, you know how to do first 10A management, which we'll talk a little bit about today. You know how to get attendance to events. You know how to get people in your champions clubs daily. It's kind of crazy to me that we had less attendance at champions clubs this summer in general. I'll just speak even in Metro Miami, but we had less attendance to our morning workshops and champions clubs than we did when we were in person and people had to drive 40 minutes to the office. We got worse attendance with people having to hop on a Zoom from their bedroom. Why is that the case? Well, I think there's an area of opportunity there. And then the last thing is demo management. Do you know how to drive sales? And the region has been doing a really phenomenal job. We've had a series of calls of driving sales here as well. But, I think it's easy to get kind of distracted in all the cloud. But I think this is what you want to focus on. This is hey, this is what matters. This is what will impact and move the needle. And these are the things I think as you're going through NLG should be some of your biggest focuses as you're actually going through that, So let me go ahead and pull this up here. I'm going to come up for air real quickly. And if you want to post light bulbs, you can into the NLG chat here. But I'd like to get just some quick anyone, it can be takeaways, light bulbs, or also if anyone else just wants to offer maybe from some of our NLG some next level group perspective here to the group before we dive into the first exercise. Light bulbs, takeaways, thoughts, comments, feedback.
I think it's just, like you were saying, really, really important during the fall specifically to focus on those 5 things, using the fall and the spring sort of as your playground to button up to prepare you for summer.
Yep, and Audrey's doing exactly that, with the SMRI program. And it's this is a good example of Audrey being intentional about working on the SMRI program, because she's already done it. She knows how to do it. She's done it this past summer, and she realized, hey, there's an opportunity for me to increase my area of expertise in this and raise it. And she's getting involved in an office and running Mike's SMRI program and focusing and being intentional about, okay, cool, how do I improve this skill? By the way, some of you guys also have hopped in offices and staff, and maybe you're working on stuff that's specific to what you need, and maybe you're not. But also the other question I would ask is do you know what specifically you need, and have you talked to your manager about getting in and doing those things? Or do you expect them to tell you what you need to do and just put you somewhere, and then you're like, this is not really what I need to learn. So thanks for chiming in, Audrey. Who else has some thoughts, comments, or takeaways?
Okay.
Okay. I would just with the SMRA program, how Andrew was saying how it's a good add-on rather than a takeaway from PRs. For example, for the Sarasota office, this week we had 8 people set for training through PRs, and then we had an additional 5 people who were from the SMRA program who were going through the sales rotation. So that kind of just shows once you take a couple weeks to build it up, it really does help flow. That's almost double the amount of people that we have in the training just because of the SMRA program. So I highly suggest starting to implement that and taking advantage of it.
Muted. Yep, I was saying, and again, Taylor's a first year on this call, and what she's doing, again, this is where going back to hey, the hubris thing is hey guys, the programs are changing a little bit. The best practices are still being formed for a lot of these things here too. And so it's not hey, you're gonna miss out if you're not running an SMRA program in office. That's not what I'm saying, but hey, you do need to be intentional about growth. Even my people on here that you've been through TLA, this is your second or third time. You know, like if you're not actively involved and like seeking out how to like improve and learn the best practices and make sure you feel buttoned up on your business, you're going to get left behind, and you're going to come back next summer and be like, shit, this is different. You know, things have changed and I didn't update to the new race. You know, so I think it's important too. Thanks for chiming in, Taylor. Jonathan, you want to add some thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to what, everyone else has been saying, but just taking the fall to focus on, what you need to improve on. Like, for example, we had a conversation before going into Metro that really one of my weaknesses, or what something I can improve on, is just like learning how to manage the staff. And that's one of the things that I'm focusing on, as well as like building upon like learn like sales skills and whatnot as well too. But I think that was an awesome point. Also, just to add to that, I think that the fall is a time for like innovation as well too. I mean, especially in this new kind of virtual realm where, I mean, like now's the time where we're buttoning up and like fixing programs that we honestly like just came up with on a whim to kind of survive this summer. But, like innovating and buttoning up those things now. So can you make sure that you're learning those, and can you like find ways to be more efficient? Something that we spoke about was like, hey, can we pinpoint what we want to take from the summer? I mean, what we want to take from the office from this fall into next summer, what we want to improve on and what we want to completely get rid of. So can you start taking note of that as well too, to make sure you're prepared going into next summer as well.
Awesome. Hey, John, I'd love you to share, you've gone and your last year's are still your first branch, but you'd already gone through, 2 rounds of TLA, as a senior in high school and then into a freshman in college. What are some things that you did personally in the fall and spring that you feel like helped lead you to a strong summer?
Okay. Well, number one, talking. It's crazy. It's literally everything you mentioned. Talking to, first of all, as many people as possible, and then also the right people. So something that I did last fall, I spoke with everybody that was a top 5 branch for last summer. So I got a call with Colton Horn, Mila, Mason. I know you remember me reaching out to you, trying to figure out how you had a 10K PPR. And like just talking to as many people as possible, gathering as much information. Something I did. I just watched a lot of videos as well too. When you look at NBA players at the end of the game, they say, hey, I'm going to go back and watch the film. I mean, it's the same thing in our business. So learning as much as possible on Vector Connect, they have a video library that I just start to study, and then just overall, I mean, the last 2 things I did was sell, keeping those skills sharp, and just reading as many books as possible. And a lot of the books that I was just focusing on was the ones given out in TLA. So, I mean, that could even be the last one, just making sure I'm taking it seriously.
Yeah. So what I took away, you get calls with other branches, that have done it before in the past, and talking to other people, some of the top performers. So he's, reaching out upwards to circles of influence. Personal growth, that's like he's talking about reading books. Like going back to like my training in the falls, like I can literally point like every year there was like 2 or 3 books that completely changed the game for me that summer and like for the rest of my life. And those like during the fall was like my personal growth time. And that's like when I worked on me, and there's a great Hal Elrod quote that I didn't get queued up into the keynote, but I was going to share with you all. And that is that your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development, because success is something that you attract by the person that you become. I'll say that one more time. Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development, because success is something that you attract by the person that you become. And I heard that quote, I think at like an SE2, like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago. And I really took that to heart. And, part of my training in the fall was like, and this again is why it's some of y'all, your training needs to be more focused in the business. Some of y'all need to just more, your training might be focusing more on yourself. And you don't hear a lot of other DVMs say that, by the way. But I firmly believe that, hey, success is something that you track by the person that you become. And when you work on yourself, when you improve yourself, right, when you have trouble coaching reps or you don't connect with people as well, it's like, hey, you're not as good of a recruiter. Like there's little, like you are the business. You know, when you have a problem and your personal skills aren't that great, or your social skills, or your management skills, or your people skills, or whatever you want to call it, you know, if any of those are lacking, right, that's like more of like a you problem, and it impacts your recruiting, it impacts your rep development, it impacts your rep management, it impacts your ability to go through the ebbs and flows of the summer. It impacts all that stuff, you know, and so that's also another opportunity. So Jonathan is doing that and really strong in personal growth. Another thing Jonathan said too is sell. Like, he sold in the fall and spring. And I like, I'll just tell you guys this. It's like, yes, we're in a push. Yes, you know, most of y'all have sold a lot of Cutco before. And some of you all are on this call. You're like 20K in career sales, 25K, 30K in career sales, you know, especially, and you've been here for like a year, right? And that's how much you are in career sales. And I would just challenge you. It's like, yes, you have sold, but like, yeah, can you sell? I was like, I don't know. You haven't done it in a while. You know, and I think there's value, and I'll just tell you guys this. There's a reason the highest productivity branches are the ones that have sold the most personally. Just look at the stats. It's very, very easy to see. If I had a correlation between personal sales and office performance, the correlation would be very, very, very high. And there's a reason for that. And it's not always, but it's not like just because, by the way, and I'll preface this too, there's a lot of people that have sold a lot of Cutco personally and kind of sucked at running an office. So it's not like a direct correlation of you sell a lot, you're going to do better. But I'll tell you guys this is that, like, hey, when you have sold more Cutco, you've gone through more scenarios. You've had more closing conversations. You're more of an expert at handling objections. And all that stuff translates into management because you're a better salesperson. And by the way, half the stuff we do in management is still sales. The second thing is, you know how to actually sell the Cutco product, right? Ask yourself this question is like, have I done some of you all on this call, like, you've never even done a virtual presentation the way that we do them today, you know? And it's like, cool. Like, I can just tell you this, it's not like, is it the most important thing? I don't know. But I will tell you that, like, if you want to improve your skill set, yes, it's going to make you more money. Yes, it's going to help you stand out get on the radar. Yes, it's going to improve your matrix score, all that great stuff. But like, if you want to do better, like, sell more Cutco, you know, like, I think a lot of times too, we talk so much about personal growth and motivation and like work on this stuff in the business, but like, how damn good could you get at the Cutco sales presentation? You know, how actually could you get to a level where you are highly skilled, where you're actually at a place where, like, literally every time you hop on the phone with someone, you're so confident you're going to make a sale on every single appointment because you're that good, you know, not because you just convince yourself in your head, but like because you do it usually, you know. Can you get yourself to where you have an 80-90% closing ratio, you know, where you're consistently closing a $400 or $500 average order when you see really filthy rich customers and when you see people that are almost broke or middle class or whatever it is, or any types of backgrounds, you know. Some of you all have like sold and you can sell as long as it's this type of customer, you know, but if you get in front of any other customers, you don't know how to sell Cutco anymore. You know, so like, it's like, I think there's area of opportunity. And I think also like that, and it's different for everyone. Again, this is where like you have to have some self-awareness on the call. But I can tell you right now that like, there's an opportunity to increase the skill set level. And when you do that, it trickles also into all the other things. I think just like the personal development stuff, improving your sales skills by actually going out there and selling, you know, like, again, you can read about the game of basketball all day long. You can watch all the Heat games. You can, you know, even sit by on the sidelines in the court, you know, and coach people in the game of basketball. But what's going to make you better at basketball? Like, going on the court and playing. You might make you know how to be better at basketball, but it doesn't mean you're better at playing the sport. You know, so there's value in actually getting out there and hopping in and getting involved too. So thanks, Sean, for chiming in. Anyone else want to have any other just echoing thoughts or comments before we dive in here? All righty. So let's do this. I just sent the handout folder. So if you guys want, take a quick second to pull that up and open. I sent you guys the handout folder, which you should have right. There's a couple different documents that are going to be inside of this NLG folder. The first one that I want you guys to pull up, and you guys can look over it with me, or I'll have a visual here on my screen, but it's the new DM schedule. You know, so I originally was going to map out, and we're going to kind of take our series of calls. So I'll also unveil our calls 99, we'll have the syllabus that will get sent to you guys, or I'll send it out tomorrow as TLA Prep. And the calls will most likely be Friday mornings, 9 to 10. We're not going to have weekly. It'll probably be like a series of like 6 calls, spread throughout the fall that we'll have, every 2 or 3 weeks as just extra fall NLG growth calls. And typically, by the way, we do those a lot more consistent. We would have already started those, but there were some other things in TLA that we're trying to get buttoned up here a little bit more beforehand. So take a quick second and we'll pull up this guy. And I want to start off before we dive into any of this stuff. And this is going to be good. I think if you're a vet on this call, if you're an NLG member, I really take objectives. I take a lot of notes on like, hey, what are the objectives of every single day? And as we go through the schedule, really try to make sure you understand like the mechanics of the business. I think for everybody else on this call, if you're brand new, this is going to be like a lot. And also I would take it, you're going to get a little bit inside of like, hey, what the weekly schedule is, what the schedule is of the branch, and how to perform and get the most in actually running and overseeing your office here too. So let me go ahead and cue this guy up. Okay, and what we're going to do is just walk through it. So this is kind of like the schedule, if you will, of really like a branch manager during the summertime. There's probably going to be some tweaks and adjustments made here, maybe with some of the social media stuff, but it gives you a general idea of like, hey, what the schedule is, what the hit list is for the day. And you can see there's a lot, and there's always a lot of stuff going on, and it only gets harder. Some of you guys know this. You're like, yo, Andrew, set up the R's is easy. And then I had 10 reps on the team, and then it became really hard. It's like, I love branches at the beginning of the summer. They're like cranking out, they're like saying like 30, 40, 50 PRs a week. And they're like, this is so easy. Like, how does no one do this every single week? And then they have like 2 training class launches, and they have like, they're like struggling to get their PR set after that. Some of y'all have been there and done that. Let me go ahead and share this too. And let's walk through like the flow a little bit. So, we'll start off. I'll just start off with I'm going to just a general flow. Okay. So this is, again, I think this is important, and this is what we call working on the business versus working in the business, right? This is a working on the business conversation. Working in the business is like, go out and do some sales, go run an SMRA program meeting, go run a team meeting, go participate like in the business and what we're doing. And this is a good example of working on the business. Like, do you have a good understanding of the business? I remember talking to Luke Maseko a couple years ago, and we were just talking about like why certain people don't succeed. And it's like, I remember talking to him, and it's like, yeah, I just think there's some people that have been around for a while, and they still have a very low understanding of the business. Like, they don't understand, they know how to run functions, but they just don't have a good understanding of like how the business works, what drives the business, what fuels success, what numbers you need to impact in order to get results. Jonathan had a call with me a little bit earlier. I think it was last week or something like that too. And he's like, dude, it just makes so much more sense now that I've done it. He's like, it's just like a numbers game. Like, even running an office is just a number game. He's like, if you just get this here and you get these numbers here, you're going to have these results. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how it works. And so, having a better understanding of like the mechanics of how it works and operates is going to give you an opportunity to have more success while you're actually operating it. And it's also very, very easy for people to work really, really damn hard in the summer. But if you don't really know where to apply that work and effort in, it's a pretty big waste, and that's sometimes people find themselves working really, really hard and not having the results that they want. So let's talk about this. Let's start off. So mechanics of the business. Number one, first thing that's important to know is that we run training every single Thursday and Friday. So there's cycles. You guys know the cycle of the sales week goes from Tuesday to Monday. That's an important cycle. And then that's a sales cycle. So every single week, Tuesday starts the beginning of the week, Monday closes out the week. And then there's the recruiting cycle on the management side, which starts on Thursdays and goes till Wednesday. By the way, I'm not even actually asked this question, but the reason that it goes starts on Thursday and goes, actually, let me ask first year on the call. Why does the recruiting cycle start on a Thursday?
To get it set up for the next week. Oh,
you can sell on the weekend.
And why does it end on Wednesday?
Team meeting.
Training,
boom. Yep. So training. Because training is the next day. So that's the end of the recruiting cycle. Meaning, if I start booking people for interviews on Thursday, They're not going into that week's training. They're going to go get set up for a week out, right? So the training every single week is Thursdays and Fridays. That means Thursday is the beginning of your recruiting cycle. You know, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, those are typically the biggest days. And Wednesday is your last day to, someone's got to mute themselves. Wednesday is your last day to impact. Are you guys hearing that, or is that just me?
Yeah,
someone.
I think Liz is unmuted.
My bad.
You're good, Liz. So the Wednesday's your last day to impact the training seminar on Thursday and Friday. You know, so if you schedule someone for an interview at 4 o'clock on Wednesday and your last interview is at 3 o'clock, they're not going to make it into that training unless you run like a steroid program like that night. So that's like the first thing to know is the sales flow and the recruiting flow, and they're both kind of happening at the exact same time, right? But they're both in different spots. So, you know, Monday is still kind of the front end of recruiting, but it's the last day for sales. You know, we're closing out the sales week, and also we've only got 2 or 3 days before that training seminar starts again. And we run training every single week, you know, throughout the actual summertime. So we're constantly resetting and focusing, hey, how many do we have, you know, for the next cycle? If Rob Rodriguez, who's my current pilot sales manager, is on this call, he'll tell you, you know, like what's important at the end of every single day, because he sends me updates every single day. It's like, and all I really care about, you know, like there's a lot of stats, but like what I really care about is like, great. I'm like, how much do we sell today? Right? How many people do we have set for training now? How many demos do we have for tomorrow? How many set for training? How many demos tomorrow? How many set for training? How many demos tomorrow? Like that's what I'm constantly asking. Cool. How many demos do we have set for tomorrow? You know, how many demos do we have for today? How many are set for training now? You know, and we're constantly looking at that. We call that the magic number of how many are actually set and scheduled for your training seminar on a weekly basis. So we start off with that because that's important to understand the rest of the flow. So first we'll talk about recruiting. Okay. So Thursday and Friday are your first 2 recruiting days, opportunities as a branch manager. Typically, you're not going to, not typically, you're not going to run an interview on Friday. I think what's important is, and when you're running training during the summertime, it's honestly can be difficult to run, just squeeze an interview at all from Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday. Like just that time as a branch manager is usually busy and training takes up a lot of time, and it can be hard to get an interview in. Some people, you know, we have ran an interview on a Friday, or they'll run, you know, a Sunday interview. But I think what is important as you guys are going through this is that on Thursdays, this is actually, I think I might have sent you guys the unupdated schedule, whatever we'll have to do for now. But you have to run 1 interview on one of those days, right? You cannot go from Wednesday interviews till your next available one is the following Monday or Sunday. And so part of this is the recruiting cycle, right? Is that if people get set up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days out away from their interview, what typically happens to your show for those interviews? They go down a ton. Yeah. So if you've been setting PRs, you know, hey, the best time to set PR is the same day, or the next day is ideally when you want to set them up, because there's a much higher show percentage. So if you're on Wednesday or Thursday and you're scheduling PRs, or not even PRs, by the way, like, so, you know, you're going to have some people that are automatically scheduled from you from just web applications and conveyor and things like that. If they're getting scheduled for interviews and their first available time is 5 days out, not only are you going to have less people scheduled, but you're going to get a way worse show on Monday. And then it comes back to bite you in the butt. And some of you branches have had this before. You have that big Monday interview and like no one shows up to it because it was like all the people that were scheduled like 6 days ago. And you didn't realize until Monday, and you thought it was going to be this big recruiting day, and then it wasn't. You know, that can happen too. So one thing is just, hey, there needs to be at least 1 interview that you're running, you know, on Thursday or Friday. Typically you don't want to run interviews on Saturday. And then some branches chose to run an interview on Sunday instead of like a Friday, this past summer. But you have to have something in there. You can't have a 3 or 4 day gap in your recruiting cycle that as the very beginning of the recruiting cycle. So starting off there. Okay, so you have your actual interviews, and then we're going to go through the objectives here too. And then typically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are your big recruiting days that are actually happening on a weekly basis. I think this is important for our first years that are on here, is like you guys might understand like why Sundays are so important. And Sundays are really important because the way that we get people scheduled for these interviews is by scheduling PRs for those interviews and setting people up for it. So Sunday is one of the most important times of the week because that's the day that we schedule the recruits for the interviews that are going to happen Monday through Wednesday, which are the 3 biggest recruiting days that we have in the week. But without a strong Sunday or Saturday PR set effort, we don't even get a chance to see the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday results as we actually go through it here too. So, and then you guys know the flow of the sales week starts on Tuesday. Weekends can be big, and then finish off is often closes on Monday. So let's walk through the schedule for each day, and let's kind of talk a little bit about the objectives of each and every single day. And one thing too that you'll notice on here is there's a slightly different like schedule here that says April, May 14th. B starts May 22nd. Does anyone know why there's like a different schedule for the first half of this, like the first month of summer? NLG, obviously, that you guys should know this.
Is it because like branches are just starting?
Yes. And
Corona.
What would you say?
Corona.
No.
Wow.
School,
yeah. So if you're involved in a fall and spring office, you realize everything's a little bit different schedule. We run trainings in the afternoon, evening, 2 to 9, 2 to 9. That's still happening in the first like month of the summer. Most of our high school students are still in classes. Most of them are still busy. So we don't go to like the full blown, even though we're in summer, not everyone else is in summer yet. So we don't go to, there's like the first like 3 to 4 weeks of the summer schedule, and then we shift things back a little bit too. So for instance, when you're running 2 to 9 trainings, your interview on Thursday is going to be in the earlier half of the day. When you're running normal day trainings, your interview's at the very end of the day after training. And let me go back to the schedule here real quickly. So let's talk about the objectives of each day. And I really want you guys to like kind of take notes of if I'm an NLG member right now, I would be writing down like, hey, kind of coming up with like we talked about, what are the big 3 objectives for each and every single day. And actually, if I can have maybe Jess or Jonathan, actually Jess, can you take notes? Because we'll kind of go over it as we're going through this too. If you can just take notes on like, we'll go through like the big 3 for each and every single day as we kind of walk through the schedule. So let's start off with Sunday, because that's probably the easiest one, right? So Sunday, what functions are going on Sunday? We have our Sunday PSP meeting. You have your SMRA program running. You might have some events or meetings with your staffs, but the 2 most important functions I think that are going on Sunday is your phone jam, and the most important thing is your PR setting. This is a PR setting from you. This is a PR setting effort from your SMRAs. And typically, you're going to kick off the SMRAs around like 2 o'clock. Again, I think this is just a growth opportunity, by the way, for some of y'all that have like, some of y'all ran like SMRA kickoff meetings, and it was like, you just kind of hopped on there and gave them the list, and that was that. Maybe getting in the office and running a great kick-ass SMRA meeting to kick off some people would be a good chance and experience. So at 2 o'clock, we're doing the kickoff meeting. From 2:30 to 4 o'clock, you're setting your PRs. Now, here's the deal about Sundays, okay? I think a lot of you all realize this summer, in the virtual climate, it is harder to get your PR set on Sundays. Anyone else can relate to that on like this summer and so like too, when you're like running the entire meeting, like it was just harder to get PR set up? Because when we're in the office, there's like reps in front of us, whatever, I can kind of crank out a couple calls real quickly, set up a couple PRs, talk to someone have them hand me. When you're running like a virtual phone jam, it's like, you start making phone calls and you're calling PRs, or like the phone jam goes to shit. You're running the phone jam, like you don't get any PR set up. Anyone can relate to that this summer if you were like helping running those things? Yes. So it's easy for that to happen. So I think like with this summer, I think in previous summers or, years, you could probably get 10 set up on a Sunday as a manager. I don't think that's realistic anymore for most people. I don't think it's realistic to run a good SMRA meeting, to run a good phone jam and PSP meeting and still to get like 10 plus set up on a Sunday. You could. What I think is required is you need to find a way to get 5 set up, and this is one of the biggest things that we'll talk about, is that your fire number as a manager is literally everything. Fire number for people that are, on this call, that is your personal PR set number. As a branch manager, that is your bread and butter. You know, if there was anything, okay, cool. We talked about, hey, like high correlation to like career sales performance. You guys want to know the highest correlation to performance? How many PRs did that manager set personally? How well did they perform that summer? It is like bread and butter. It is almost always the people that set more PRs personally are the people that had better results of the summer. It impacts, you know, recruited. You know, like I'm just, Jonathan, I'm referencing you a lot because we just had a conversation a couple of days ago and we did your summer debrief a little bit later. You know, but this is something I was even talking to Jonathan about, is that like, you know, Jonathan had such great efficiencies and numbers and such high statistics that it's like, hey, dude, if you just would have poured more people into that funnel, you had one of the best funnels in the entire company. You just didn't have enough people coming into that funnel. And your fire number is one of the easiest ways as a manager that you can do to impact that. You know, your fire number also does the same thing I tell district managers. Like, even when you have a full-blown SMRA program setting up 80 to 100 PRs or whatever that might be for you for the week, your personal fire number is still the most important. You know, that is what impacts quality. That is your opportunity as a manager to like own the results that you get, because they're the people that you set up. So yes, when your manager calls them, they have a higher show percentage because it's you calling them. You probably have the best show percentage in your office, you know, so they show up to more to interviews. But it's not just getting them to the interview that's important. Like, okay, great. You know, yes, I get a 60% show. My AMs get a 50% show. Well, that's great if your AMs can get a 50% show. It's still worth your time to call your own PRs though. Not because more of them show to the interview, but because the ones that do show to the interview, they have a much higher show percentage of training. They have a much higher launch percentage from training because it's consistent. You called them, you interviewed them, you know, you said that you connected with them on the phone initially, you ran their training, they're launching and getting coached by you. It's consistent. It's easier to put reps to that process. And that's also how you get a lot of your best people. You know, it's your chance to kind of duplicate your best people is when you're actually getting them set up yourself personally. And, you know, literally I can go back, you know, I think we did an exercise with Mike's office one year. Adrian, you could probably do this from, you know, summer, maybe not even this summer, but last summer in 2018 of like, hey, like when we look back at the stats and all of our best reps from the summer, you know, it's like, yes, that manager might have only set 20% of the PRs that were set up in that office, but like 50%, 60% of the reps that are in that office are someone that manager personally spoke to on the phone almost every single time. You know, and always the best people on the team are people that were personally spoken to. And any branches on this call can probably relate to that from your experience this summer, that a lot of your best reps were not the ones scheduled by SMRAs, that are the ones scheduled by you on the actual phone here too. A lot of you all are here. Actually, I'd be curious to know who on here or first years that are just like guests. Who on here, does anyone know if they were scheduled by a receptionist or a manager? Raise your hand if you were scheduled by like a manager. Okay, I think almost every single person on this call. By the way, to my point, you know, that like typically, yes, you'll get people in the funnel, but your best people come from your personal fire number set. So it's like, hey, protecting that time is like, again, the PR setting in your fire number is one of the easiest things to throw out the window because you're too busy. You know, and I would argue if you're not shipping 30 grand plus a week as a branch, you're not too busy, you know, and I promise you can't be, because nothing is more important than protecting your recruiting of your organization and protecting that fire number, because it's what impacts literally everything else. You know, so it's as we're going through the schedule too, you also want to map out, like as a branch manager, you want to be setting 20 plus PRs each and every single week during like not every week, by the way, but I'd say during the gold weeks. So there's about an 8 to 10 week period from May to June where that's what we call our recruiting gold period, meaning it's like we go hard in the paint during those times because it's our biggest recruiting window and opportunity, and that's where you impact the most that summer. So typically you're going to set less PRs at the end of June and July, and it will taper down a little bit too, but you want to make sure you're hitting 20 plus during those prime weeks. So knowing like, hey, and any manager will tell you this, if it's not in the schedule, it will not get done. You know, if you don't have like some sort of like time to get your PRs done, it just gets put on the back burner and just never happens. So knowing when and how you're actually going to navigate and get your actual PR set up, I think is important here too. So when you're kicking off the meeting, here's what I'm going back to on Sundays. Sundays, it's going to be tough to get 10. You can probably get 5. And I want you to think about strategically how you can get those 5. By the way, this is like working smarter, not harder. What do you guys think? When is the best time to call PRs on a Sunday?
The afternoon.
And function based, you know, what's the best time where like I'm killing two birds with one stone as I'm calling PRs?
Like team meetings?
NLG here, answer this. What am I doing on Sundays as a branch manager before my PSP meeting?
With SMRAs.
When after SMRA kickoff, right? That's the best time to get your PR set up, because guess what? You're again killing two birds with one stone. You know how many SMRAs this summer sucked because they never heard a manager actually make PR. They heard to make 2 PR calls in their training seminar, and then they're like, all right, just start calling people every single day. I think Adrian got a call from an SMRA this summer or something like that. And they didn't realize it, and he just answered the phone and let him roll with it. And they're like, hey, this is Rachel. Do you need a job? No, not really. Oh, like we have like, I don't even know. It was the worst thing in the world. It was like when Adrian told me how bad it was, like, okay, cool. But also like how many of your SMRAs have never actually like, they heard you make a call like once a week ago, you know, they're not in the office, just hearing people rip calls over and over and over again. So this is a really good opportunity where it's like, hey, you're killing two birds with one stone, meaning like you're managing your SMRAs by leading by example. You're getting your own personal fire set number set up, and you're managing your SMRAs in the same process. So after you kick them off, during that first hour and a half, 2 hour window, I would be trying to set up like 3 or 4 PRs during that time period. And like, maybe I don't do all of them on unmuted, but I would like at least let them hear 2 or 3 good PR calls every single Sunday as I don't get my own personal fire number set up, you know, on that Sunday too. That's an opportunity example, because we all know, again, once you get into that PSP meeting, that phone jam, and that's why I'd say, hey, if you can get all 5 knocked out with SMRAs, great. You know, but I would generally say it's like, hey, try to just get 5 on a Sunday, meaning get, you know, 3 or 4 in the SMRA meeting and like 1, 2, or 3 from some rep driven from reps as you're doing PCs on Sundays and talking to people. And again, make it easier for you. Like have the reps hand you people, like get, like if you can get good at creating, I know Jess and Amanda did a great job with this, managing their teams this summer, is that all their PRs that they set would be people would not be just random, hey, Kier, call this list. It would be generated from their team. They know how to duplicate the people already on their team. And again, that's an opportunity as you as a manager. 3-way text, you know, having people put you in a bunch of 3-way texts, I think on Sunday, you know, so you can set it up. And here's, again, it's important. When you have days that are busier and it's harder to get your fire number set, you still need to get it set. You still need to find a way to do it. But again, it's like working smart, like make it work for you, make it easier. Meaning it's your job as a manager to get 5 set up on Sunday. You know, so if you want to sit there for 3 hours on Sunday morning from, you know, 12 p.m. to, you know, 2 p.m., just calling through a list, you could do that. Or you can make it easy for yourself and have them already primed up from some Saturday text messages or Sunday text messages. So you're able to knock out, you know, schedule 4 PRs in 30 minutes because they're already ready and primed for your call. And you just boom, call them, boom, call them, boom, call them. That would make your life easier, you know? So, but you have to find a way to get the results one way or another. So I know I'm talking a whole lot about fire number, but that's probably the most important thing that's on the schedule here too. So Sundays, you know, the SMRA training, and I'll just tell you guys what we're looking to do. Actually, I'm not going to tell you what we're looking to do. I'll just tell you. We're looking to have an opportunity, guys. There might be an opportunity where we'll have a divisional SMRA like manager, and ideally maybe that someone's running training for our branches, for our district managers every single week, and we just plug in our new SMRAs into that actual training. That's what we're looking to do, what we're looking to create and set up. And we'll have some following up feedback on that here soon. But in the meantime, I think it's going to be good for everyone still to learn how to do everything. I would not rely on that because that's not, you know, 100% guaranteed. But 2 to 2:30 p.m. kickoff, you spend 2:30 to 4 with your SMRAs, and that's the time where you set 5 PRs, maybe 3 to 4, and you get 1 or 2 rep driven in the meeting. And then, you know, 5 to 6 p.m. And by the way, I'll send you guys the right schedule in here. I apologize for this in the call. Somehow I didn't realize this one is the one that says remote interview calls, which there aren't any. So ignore that, but we're just going to go through the objectives of each day. That's the main thing we're going through here. And then you have your Sunday PSP meeting and your phone jam. So if I'm a manager right now and I'm like, all right, my Sunday, what are probably my big 3 on a Sunday? Like what's like my 3 objectives on a Sunday? If everything else, take off everything else on that schedule. Okay. What are my big 3 objectives on a Sunday? Just give me one. Someone just give me one of them.
Hit 5.
Stars.
Okay. I would probably say set your 5 PRs as a manager.
PSP and Phone Jam.
Cool. And here's what I want you guys to do is like, you have the big 3, like what about the PSP and Phone Jam?
Oh, drive the Phone Jam. Have PSP meetings, set up goals with your team.
So how do you know that you did a good job of that?
I want to find the amount of demos. How many demos are you creating on Sunday?
Or demo average per rep.
Cool. Yeah. So how many demos specifically? Cool. But also depends on how many reps you have, right? So what should be what's the demo average? Is the other thing I'd be paying attention to, right? So how many PRs did I set personally? Right. So it's like my big 3 are probably, hey, getting my 5 set personally today, or going for more. Like 5 is the minimum. If you can shoot for 10 on a Sunday, I would, but you don't always have that opportunity. Like, am I getting my 5 set up? Am I running an effective meeting, to like Jonathan's point? But like, what's the benchmark of you ran an effective phone jam is probably, well, how many demos did the reps average? Which on Sundays, what should that be at least? Yeah, I'd say 5 is probably the standard on a Sunday. Now, by the way, okay, I think there's an opportunity to take that higher. You know, and obviously we have the pushes, right? So those are typically much, much higher average Sundays. But I would really say, you know, like, hey, on a Sunday, you want 5 to 6 average per head at a minimum. You know, on a Wednesday night, you probably want to be averaging, you know, 7 demos ahead, 7 to 8 demos ahead, like 6 to 7 on the very, very low end. But, you know, every single person on your team should be getting 5 set. I think this is an opportunity for us, by the way, too. You know, I know we're saying 5 now, a little bit more in the virtual climate, but I think in previous summers that answer would have been more like, hey, 7. You know, we want to average 7 demos on Wednesday nights, 7 demos on Sunday nights. You know, so I think part of it is making sure you have agreements and phone jam goals from your reps ahead of time to create that. And what's a third thing that you really want to be paying attention to on Sunday? What's a third objective?
Hit your office goal with set PRs by SMRAs.
Bingo. Yeah, it's not just your fire. So you have your personal fire number, demo averages from running a good meeting, and then the third thing is how many PRs are being set up by my SMRAs. You know, as a branch manager, you want to make sure that you have at least 60 PRs being set up by humans in your office every single week. That is kind of like the standard as a branch manager during the summertime. Now, you know, elevating looks like going from 80 to 100 plus, but 60 is like the standard. So if you're getting 20, how many do your SMRAs need to be setting at a bare minimum every single week?
40.
40. Cool. And so the other thing I'll add in on Sunday is that, you know, again, so if you're setting up 20 PRs a week, your goal is to get to 60 PRs for every single cycle. You have till Wednesday night to do that, right? So you already know when you're going to get your PR set up, but on Sundays, okay, I would say, and this is where it's important to be paying attention to the cycle number. You want to be 40 to 60% way to your cycle goal for PR set by the end of Sunday night. Meaning that if my goal is 60, you know, I want to be at least 40%, ideally 60% already there towards that number of 60. So that means at the low end, I want to have at least 24 PRs already set. You know, on the higher end of things, if I'm just pacing for 60. A lot of our second and third time branches, like y'all should be going for 80 to 100 plus, or going for districts. You know, in a pilot office, our number is 200. You know, on a weekly basis. So if we want to get 200 PR set, you know, by Sunday night, we want to have 80 scheduled. That means we're scheduling 60 or 70 on a Sunday. As a branch, it's not as crazy. To get 0.6 of 60, you know, that's 36 PRs. But you should probably be somewhere between 24 to 30 to 40 PRs already scheduled by the end of Sunday night. And for most people, that means, you know, Sunday, your SMRAs need to be booking up, you know, 20 or so PRs, and then you get your 5. Because, by the way, most people do not have SMRAs working on Thursdays or Fridays, and you're not setting PRs here. So that means it's a 0 here for the cycle, 0 here for the cycle. You get a lot set personally on Saturday, so you add on to that cycle. But really, Sunday is your first day. So, you know, most people, you need to have an SMRA program that's consistently scheduling 25 to 30 PRs at a bare minimum on a Sunday. That's really what you want to be focused on. And so that's the 3 objectives for Sunday is like, hey, did I get my personal fire number checked off? Did my SMRAs hit their cycle goal for the day? Did they hit 25 to 30 PR set? And did I run a great and effective meeting, which you can judge by how many demos were averaged per head in training, which creates the sales results for the rest of the week. On it. And this is why I want to make sure you guys have objectives for each day, because literally, if you do those 3 things, I'm not really sure if anything else matters. There's not a whole lot else. If you just told me you did those 3 things in your office, like, great, you had a great damn day. Yeah, but maybe, one rep didn't close that one sale because you were too busy being engaged with what you're doing and you couldn't take their PI call, whatever. There might be some other things that might make it to that list, but like that is, objectives on a weekly basis of a Sunday. Let's talk about Monday. And by the way, we're spending more time on these days just because it'll take longer, and then we'll speed things up and wrap things up here too. Monday morning, again, you have Champions Club, in the morning, and you pretty much have that each and every single day. So, for most mornings as a branch manager, 9:30 to 10 o'clock is PBI time. And this is an area of opportunity where I think we kind of missed this summer. As branch managers, I don't think there was as much live calling and connection. There was a lot of WhatsApp management. And that's great. WhatsApp management can be good for people, but you're going to lose people along the way if you're just doing that. Like, there's an element of human connection and getting a chance to connect with someone on the phone, talk to them, like get to know them a little bit, see how they're doing, daily PDI. When I was a branch manager, my office schedule literally every single day was get to the office, I kick off a Champions Club, and I call through the entire team and speak to every single rep that works in my office, every single one before 10 a.m. every day. That was my schedule every morning. Literally every single rep got a call from me every single morning. Well, except the good ones all called into the office. So I basically said about if you're running a good organization, half the organization was calling me to clock in, check in for the day, and the rest of the half I was outgoing. We don't have the same standards anymore in a virtual climate. Like, we don't make our reps call us every single day. But I think there's an opportunity there of like, hey, are you in consistent communication? Or do your reps hear from you, their first weekend on the job, and then they see you on Wednesdays and Sundays, in a meeting with 50 other people on Zoom, and they don't even speak up. Like, think about how many reps you guys had on your teams this summer that like didn't even say words. Like, they showed up to meetings for 3 weeks and you've never heard them spoke because they didn't really call them from their demos. They didn't speak to them on the phone. They were just like there. There's an element of getting a human connection with people. So I think, be intentional about hitting that in the mornings. And again, while you're doing Champions Club, you can do that. While they're phone jamming, you phone jam. Always a good rule of thumb is they phone jam, you phone jam. The team meeting, the phone jam starts with the team meeting. Guess what you do as manager? Phone jam through the whole entire team. Get people kicked off, ready to rock and roll. They start phone jamming, you jam. Same thing in the mornings here, and it's opportunity to impact some PDI. We run AT1 from 10 to 2, right? Then you get some personal setup there, and then typically you're going to have 2 Apex interviews following that advanced training 1, and then some PBI at the end of the night to help close out the sales. You do need to make sure you have time. Here's another thing, guys, that you might have realized this summer. AT1, we're not doing rep driven anymore, right? So your 5 PRs are kind of stripped a little bit away from that too. We used to be able to have people in person giving us the PRs, setting them up. It was very, very easy to do. And now we have AT1 social hour, okay, which is basically, and that's, who's familiar with AT1 social hour, by the way? Great. We got some work to do on that one. So this is something, and again, the reason this goes back to like, hey, best practices. This is what Jeff was doing all summer, and it's slowly making its way across the rest of the region too. So some of us didn't really hear about this until the end of the summer, and it hasn't yet been implemented yet. AT1 social hour is basically the replacement of like Monday advanced training 1 rep driven. So instead of them, hey, here, let me call this person and put you on the phone with them, because it's kind of hard to do that virtually. It's a series of, hey, social media triple threats. If you're in Miami, you did this summer, which is we offer the gift cards and they send up the heads up text or 3-way text. Then they do a round of triple threading on Instagram and on Snapchat. That whole process takes an hour, but that's an easy way, again, to like, you're not going to get the 5 PR set up in advanced training 1 anymore. You're just not. So you want to have, again, easy teed up ones that you can call though, right after advanced training 1 ends on Monday or before you hop into that second interview. And then making sure that you have the opportunity at the end of the night to either close out on PDI or close out on PRs, whatever you need to do for that actual Monday here. Cool. Questions on Monday's schedule? What are the big three for Monday? What's one of them?
Get 5.
Yeah, probably get your 5 PR set.
Attendance at Champions Club.
Nope.
Your interviews, how many you sign.
Okay, big no. So like excited for correcting it. So the interviews, and this again is like, what's the big three? It's like, I'm gonna run interviews today. It's like, I know you are. So is everybody. It's like I'm gonna crush my interviews. Okay, great. I hope you do. What does crushing your interviews look like? Okay, so it's the sign percentage. How many people did we sign on the day? That's got to be one of your big three on Monday. Is how many people did we sign for training? You know, you could argue that might maybe make its way onto Sunday if you run an interview there. But hey, do you have a sign goal? Monday is typically the biggest recruiting day of the entire week. So one of the most important things is how many am I signing for training on Mondays? Why is it Monday the biggest recruiting day of the entire week, by the way, then?
Because typically on
You're good.
Okay. Yeah, typically you set the most PRs, like your office as a whole, on Sunday. And if you're doing it right, you set them for Monday.
Yep. So, hey, how many am I signing on the day? You know, as a branch manager, you know, if you could be hitting double digits on a sign day, that's a great day. You know, if I can boom, I sign 10 today on a Monday, you know, that's a great Monday. You know, and making sure that hey, so what's your sign goal for the day? That should be probably one of your big three. Getting your own personal fire number set up is the second one. And then what would you guys put as the other big three?
PDI.
Sales.
I mean, if we run AT1, I'd say AT1 execution.
What about AT1 execution?
Well, did you get them more demos, as in like demos for Tuesday and Wednesday, get them their assignments, and social hour as well too?
Yeah. If you guys, this one, I would love to tell you that the right answer, but I'm not necessarily sure what the big three, the third one is. I think the other third one is like varies depending on your organization, right? I think, but it's probably something about driving sales, you know, and that might either be, hey, the big three for today is we have 30 demos. I need to get to 50 demos to hit our goal for the day to finish off a strong match Monday. You know, I'm going to do that through Champions Club, getting some more demos booked in advanced training and PDI at the end of the night. It's probably something around driving demos and driving sales for the day. And, you know, your 3 opportunities to do that are in Champions Club in the morning, you know, your AT1, and then Monday night closeout. And I'll tell you guys what, there's certain nights, like anytime that's in a push period, we go hard on Monday nights, you know. Alex and Hollis and Adrian can tell you that for sure. You know, there were times that there were multiple times, not necessarily even this summer, but especially in summers past, where we would sell on a Monday night, literally 30% of what we sold the whole entire week. You know, there'd be days where we were at 20K in sales at Monday at 5:00 and we pull out 10 grand literally after 6 PM to get to, 30 grand in sales and jump the report by 30%. You know, you can do that if there's some strong urgency as people are closing out the sales week. So probably some element of driving sales. We're going to speed this up a little bit. Tuesday. Okay. I'll spend less time going over the objective, because the schedule is wrong anyways. And branches, you already know the schedule. Some of you guys don't know the schedule at all. So we're in the same boats. Tuesday though, there's going to be time to set some PRs. There's going to be some PDI time. There's going to be 2 interviews. Here's what's going to make its way into your Tuesday schedules for next summer. Day 4 and day 11 PCs. Massive opportunity for us across the company, but especially in our division last summer, was the fact that a lot of reps start the training, they come to advanced training 1, and again, there's not that human connection and element. They're not getting coached or mentored. They're not getting a one-on-one. And so reps really need to start having on a day 4, which is their 4th day of their fast start, okay, which is the 3rd cycle that's going on here, by the way, is fast starters, right? So you have your recruiting cycle, you have your sales cycle, and then you have the fast start cycle, which is they just finished training Friday and their fast start goes till the following Monday. So their first weekend and then days 4 through 10. Days 1 through 3, days 4 through 10. Days 1 through 3 are Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We don't really include Friday. And then days 4 through 10 are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And that's that following week here too. So on Tuesdays, there's an opportunity to, hey, your reps that just finished advanced training 1 and are about to go to advanced training 2 on Wednesday, before they show up to that team meeting for the very first time, can you have a one-on-one with them to just kind of check in and see how they're doing after the first weekend? As a branch manager, you're not going to have time to do 20 PCs on a Tuesday. So, some of those PCs might happen during advanced training 1. You do some like one-on-one breakout rooms and stuff like that too, while people are jamming, and have some one-on-one, kind of planning PCs with people. And some of those might happen on Tuesday. The last thing is day 11 PCs, meaning after someone finishes their fast start. If you worked in an office this summer, how many people saw people do a great fast start and then just kind of like fizzle out into nothing right after their fast start? That happened a lot. Because a lot of people had these goals for their fast start. They got a lot of coaching mentorship for their fast start. They finished it. And then it just went to, hey, we'll see you on Wednesday. All right, we'll see you on Sunday. And they didn't really have any goals or any kind of game plan or no like PC to kind of map out like a future. And by the way, some of y'all did get those PCs because it just happened to be around a push. And those are the people that are still here, by the way. So there's a lot of people that I think were lost this summer just because there wasn't the proper guidance too. And outside of that, just PDI, PR set, and your interviews on Tuesdays. What's the big 3 of Tuesdays?
PDI.
High number, team meeting confirmations.
Higher number, probably set in 5 up, right? And then PDI, I heard PDI and team meeting confirmation, so probably one of the same thing, which is like, cool. What's like the number behind that? What makes it like measurable?
Well, you want to talk to your entire team, get them all there, get them all set.
Yeah. If you guys have a team of 20, how many would you expect to be in the team meeting on a Wednesday night? What do you guys feel like it's a good show percentage?
20.
What percentage of your team do you want there?
Like 18 minimum, 18, 15. No less than like 15.
I would say 80% is probably standard. 90% is great. I'd say anything below 80% of your team there is like you are probably having trouble with event attendance. If you are ever less than like 50%, like you got a real big problem. Some of you guys have had meetings like that before where you're expecting like 50 people to be on. There's 22 people on. And by the way, that is not a Wednesday night problem. That's a Tuesday problem. Because Tuesday is what sets up your Wednesday. Wednesday is one of the biggest, phone jams. That's where we create the most demos. The demos create the sales. So again, this just goes back to, hey, managing, like being a manager. It's like, if I'm just focused on creating more demos, those demos are what create the sales. What creates demos is phone jams. What creates phone jams that have a lot of demos booked is strong attendance with great preparation to those phone jams. What sets up that? Tuesday PDI, Friday morning PDI. That's your opportunity to impact your sales for the week by gaining and gathering not only more attendance, okay, but the purpose of Tuesday PDI is not that, hey, are you coming to the meeting on Wednesday? Great. We'll see you there. Which I think is what a lot of our managers did this summer. We're just like, all right, meeting tomorrow. You got it, right? All right, great. You'll be there? All right, sweet. Perfect. Thank God. It was one of those versus, okay, cool. Are they showing up to the Wednesday meeting strongly here too? So just for time-wise too, because I think, and this will make its way into one of our NLG calls, we're going to do a little bit of follow-up on some of this stuff, okay? But I do want to make sure we have enough time for the BVOY exercise here as well. On Tuesdays, okay, so our objectives is, set your 5 PRs. What are the other 2 objectives? It's probably, set up a powerful team meeting through, Tuesday confirmations and make sure you're getting 80% of the team confirmed and that they're showing up with at least how many numbers? 30 to 50 names and numbers. Checking queue while you do PDI is absolutely crucial. I can't tell you again how many managers they'd get a lot of attendance to the meetings and then they'd have an awful phone jam. And I think one of the biggest things that you can do on a Wednesday, what should be the average for demos on Wednesday?
7+.
Yeah, 7+ is the standard for how many demos you want to average on a Wednesday with your team. So by the way, what 7 really looks like Here's the key to getting 7 on a Wednesday night. 5 is probably the average for your team. But you have brand new reps that finished training last week that are getting 10 plus set up in the Wednesday team meeting. That's what makes it a 7 average. Does that make sense to everyone? So most of the people on your team, if you took the average minus like the brand new trainees that just got there for the first Wednesday, that's probably like 5 to 6. But your average in your office should be 7 to 8. And that's because maybe a couple people that are gunners and performers, and then it's the new reps are getting 10 to 15 demos booked on Wednesday night. That's the standard for them when they're in their first week or two on the job. And that's what they should be getting set up. The thing is, that happens if you had strong assignments from Monday advanced training, reminders on Tuesday, and you consistently on PBI between Monday and Wednesday, hey, how many you got on your list for Wednesday? How many you got on your list for Wednesday now? Cool, I see you got 30 on your list now. How many do you have like, cool, and you're constantly driving that assignment throughout the weekend? Or if you don't talk about it and they show up on Wednesday and they only have 15 names and numbers, guess who's not getting 10 demos booked up? They're getting 5 demos booked up or 6 demos booked up. And that will drastically lower your averages. So again, the Wednesday meeting is set up by the work that you do on that Tuesday. So, and then the second thing is probably still getting your PR set from, you're talking about PDI, or probably actually second thing on Tuesday is probably it was another big thing on Monday.
Sign number.
That's correct. So sign number. So it's can you sign double digits again on that Tuesday? So, all right, guys, we're going to take, and we're going through this a little bit longer here. So we've gone through the objectives of Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, which I think are the biggest days of the week. And I think you guys can have a pretty good idea of what Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are. One thing I do want to do, we're going to take like a 2-minute break here just for people that need to use the restroom or bio break real quickly. Then we'll go through the BVOY exercise here, and we'll come back to some of the stuff. One thing I want to make sure that we cover before we wrap up is how are you getting your 20 set, right? And so what days are you getting which one set? If you miss a day, it's hard to get to the 20, right? And that really looks like 5 on a Sunday, 5 on Monday, 5 on Tuesday. That's really it. 5, 5, 5. And then what's the other major day of the week that's the number one day during the summer to impact your fire number on a serious level? Saturday. Yeah. And again, we don't work every single Saturday during the summer by any means. But during goal period, we sure as hell do. Okay? Because you got like an 8-week period where those Saturdays are like that is your bread and butter. That's your day when you see managers at 30, 40. It's because of Saturdays, So Saturday is the day where you might just, by the way, like that's why I think some days maybe you're going on the boat with some friends and going to send it. Cool. Just get your 5 damn PRs set up and call it a day, But maybe you're in a place where you want to really get recruiting juice going and you're trying to fuel the summer and drive it, and you don't get 5 set up on a Saturday. You get 10 set up on a Saturday. You get to 30 for your cycle week. Like you're cranking out calls and like doing that around PBI throughout the day too. But protecting your Saturday. And a lot of times I think it's most important is like you have to protect the time for fire number. So the question that I always ask people is like, hey, what's more important? You have an hour's a long gap. I don't know, let's call it on Saturday. I don't even know on Saturday. Like let's say on Tuesday, you're calling PRs from 11:30 to 1 p.m. And this rep that just launched their first weekend, they already sold $3,000, and they're calling you, they're double tapping you while you're supposed to be getting your PR set because they really, really need help in an appointment. What's more important, helping out that rep or getting your PR set? PRs every single time. Okay, because that is what's going to impact, by the way, your recruiting for the next week and the week after that, And so back in the day, like you guys got to keep in mind, like when I used to run we ran like even more interviews, there's more stuff in the schedule, like reps had a harder time of getting a hold of managers. And it can be very, very easy and tempting as a manager to be like, just grab the phone call and it's like, well, they need help, they're about to close a signature set or something like that. We could use the sales or whatever too. But in that moment, right, you just had 5 PRs. That's almost, a lot of times if you're setting them as a manager, every 5 PRs that you schedule, that's one person launched from training. If SMRI schedules them, it's like 10 to 12. Current people schedule as one person launch from training. As a manager, though, it's like 4 to 5. You schedule 4 to 5, you're launching another person from training. A lot of times that's an extra $2 or $3 grand in sales and someone else on your team from doing that. So, maybe, yeah, you added an extra $1,000 onto your sales report because you took that call. But if you missed your PR calling window because you didn't protect your time and you got sucked in, which is, by the way, the easiest thing to do. You know, like, again, I told you guys, branches have no problem getting their PR set, and they have a team, and they're like, it's so hard to schedule my PRs. It's like, you have to, kind of like we've been talking about in TLA, you know, when you're doing school and Cutco, you got to compartmentalize. You got to be able to block it off. You got to be able to say, like, I'm on the grid. If anyone needs me, blah, blah. If anyone doesn't, you know, talk to an AMI, talk to team captain. Here's some top reps on our team that might be able to help you out. I'm going to be off the grid for the next hour and a half. Like, and cool. I'm not paying attention to that. I'm setting my own damn PRs and impacting recruiting while I can. So cool. All right. We're going to take a quick, make it like 5 minutes, like actually 5 minutes. I'm going to start right at 11:40. We're going to have 20 minutes. We're a little bit behind this exercise. I don't want to go too much over here today. So take a quick 5, use water, restroom, whatever you need to do. And we'll be back in a second.
Far can I go from the edge of what I know? And if I go back, could it ever be the same? Oh, the wind, it blows. Could you take me to the coast and put me on a ship? I would just sail away. Moving on, new morning, moving on, new morning.
All right, guys, we're gonna get started here. 30 seconds. make your way on back here. And what you're going to go ahead and do is go into the handouts folder. I'd like everyone to post some light bulbs in the NLG chat if you can from the first section. And I'd just be curious to see kind of from all levels what people are taking away so far. If you're not in the NLG group chat, you need to submit a letter of intent to be in there or be a second year. But you can post your light bulbs in the general chat. So take a quick second to, let's see, pull it up here. Go to the folder and you're going to go to the scorecard evaluation or BBOI document. And I would go ahead and download this. So what we're going to go ahead and do, this is an updated BBOI document based off of this year's kind of just the updated syllabus of what you need to be good at, in my opinion, as a manager to be succeeding. So let me go ahead and pull this up, scorecard, BBOI. Everyone take 30 seconds to go ahead and pull that up. And we're going to walk through this together and do this as a group call. So here's how we're going to do for the rest of the day. So we'll probably spend 10 minutes on this. And what I'll do is we're going to rate ourselves on all these categories. And at the end of that, we're going to give ourselves create an edge plan. And I typically, by the way, this edge plan, like if you've been through this before, you know, I was looking at like Adrian, I pulled up I actually included your edge plan in one of the folders that we created, you know, from a year or two ago. And we kind of had mapped out the entire training seminar and when you were going to go through it and all this stuff. The edge plan started back in, you know, September. So we're going to kind of evaluate. It's like, hey, what have you done to work on some of these areas of opportunity, like since the end of the summer? And if you haven't done anything yet, it's like, what's going to be the game plan moving forward? Rather than your manager is telling you what your edge plan should be, I want y'all to try to guide and lead yourselves though and create your own edge plan and present that to your manager. So this is going to be due on Friday, the final assignment. My recommendation is this, is that I told everyone, I think last week, that if you don't have like class or something to hop off to like at 12 o'clock, I would just do it now while you're in the zone. So I'll probably even leave the Zoom up for a little bit. And if you have to go at 12, you can. I'm not going to force anyone to stay because that was just the times of today. And I would just do it right now as a group while you're actually in the zone, and you can just finish the assignment now. So it's not something extra on your plate that you do have to do. So we're going to take a couple quick seconds. I'll walk through this and guide us. I'll put a little bit of music on. Everyone give me a thumbs up if you have the document up and open.
Where is the document? Because I was checking all the chats.
Oh yeah, I forgot you guys aren't in the in that. Hold on, let me send you. Can someone maybe forward it? I closed out my WhatsApp because it was giving noise notifications on everything. Let me forward it to the group chat here. So this is the NLG handouts. It's getting sent to the TLA chat. And 3, 2, 1. All right, cool. You guys have it now. So in that folder, you should have, again, there's a couple different folders here. Nice. Jess, did you upload this? Or did you just create a new document in here?
I made a copy, but I guessed it out.
Download it to your computer. You don't need to have it in the drive. Yeah, or you can make it a copy on your own drive site too. You guys don't need to update. This is going to be a personal self-evaluation. So this is for you, not for me. You want to see, you're the judge of you. Okay, this is not so like, do not, and again, this is why it's important. Like, don't just put a higher score because like, it ain't gonna make you look better. This is a chance for you to evaluate yourself and where like, hey, what you're good at and what you're not, what you have every opportunity for. So the document that you'll be using is a scorecard evaluation, this one right here. Cool, download that onto your computer and we're gonna walk through this together as a group. Give me a thumbs up if you got it open now. Everyone still need like 30 seconds? Do we got it open? Give me a thumbs up if you have it open. Mason, you got it? Cool. Noah, you got it?
I didn't receive it. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, I got it.
What do you mean you didn't receive it? All right, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. The first section is gonna be life skills. Like, again, this is probably your like personal growth. And the second section is gonna be actual Cutco business skills. So I'll go ahead and we'll get like a little light music on here. Can you guys still hear me? Cool. Let's see. Cool. Let me see. Right here too. All right, so if you guys want to open up and you can start rating yourself through, you can go at my speed or you can kind of get ahead of me a little bit. I'm just going to walk through kind of each one so you guys have a brief description in case you're not sure which like one of them is. So first thing would be is rank yourself on your morning routine. And if you you just would rank each for each category, 1 to 5. 5 being like, this is stellar. I don't even think I need to work on this for TL. Like I'm good. You know, like almost in this area, like almost, you know, hey, this is a very, very strong area of mine. It's probably like one of my strengths that I'm putting as a 5. 1 is like, I don't even know what this is. I've never done it before. You know, 3 is like, hey, I'm solid at this. There's probably some room for improvement. 4 is like, I feel pretty damn good about this, but there's obviously some area for me, opportunity to improve. 2 is like, I have a slight idea. I've done it a couple times. I'm not consistent with it, whatever. So morning routine. First one is just like, hey, how do you feel physiologically and mentally in the morning when you wake up? You know, what's your morning state like? Or even if you don't wake up great, like, do you have a good routine that gets you in a good physiological and mental state where you feel good, like physically and mentally? Do you get the proper amount of sleep? You know, like, are you getting 5 to 8 hours? My rule of thumb for sleep, by the way, is like 8 hours is great. You know, that's like awesome. If I get 8 hours of sleep, I think 7. Most people is 6 to 7 hours is optimal. You know, that's a normal good amount of sleep on a consistent basis. If you're getting, you know, again, 7 hours is real good. 6 hours is like typically the lowest I try to get. If I'm on 5 hours of sleep, I can operate just fine as long as I have a good morning routine ready to rock and roll. But I can't do that for multiple days in a row. So, you know, I don't think it's very sustainable to only get 5 hours of sleep every single night. You eventually do that enough, and eventually you'll start to feel it. Proper amount of sleep, and are you up before 7 a.m.? And you can rank yourself. I realize most of y'all, college students, are probably not that right now. I would maybe rank yourself maybe based on last summer. You know, so some of this might be your routines in college, and I realize, like, just so you guys have some, like, look, when I was in college too, I also woke up at 10 a.m., you know, and like, and well, I worked till 3 a.m., you know, like I was doing homework. I just had like, I had the same schedule. Everything was just shifted back a couple hours. There's later nights, you know, and a little bit later mornings, and I was okay. Cause I was still working, by the way, just as hard, but it's just a slightly different routine, slightly different schedule, which is okay. As long as that doesn't just turn into like, hey, I wake up at 11 o'clock and stay up till like 4 o'clock. It's probably not that great. Okay, so just be mindful and aware of that, but you can evaluate yourself in last summer if like this summer's not as relevant here. Cool. Journaling. Do you possess a quality planner of value to you? And do you have a routine of journaling in the morning? Where would you rate yourself there? Physical fitness and energy. Okay, it's a huge one, by the way. I'll just tell you guys right now, future branches. If you do not work out actively before the summer, you will not do it during the summer. I promise you. It is 100% guaranteed that you will not maintain a fitness regimen if it's not already part of your daily. If it's not ever part of who you are and it's like already a habit, it will not be a habit in the summer. You won't start working out more during the summer. It just will not happen. You know, you gotta, so daily, weekly exercise. My first branch summer, working out and exercise was really important to me, and I barely did it all summer. So my second summer, I was really focused on keeping that as part of my routine and not like having to give up part of myself to be able to run my office during the summertime. So what's your like daily and weekly exercise like? What's your nutrition and food habits like? And do you have any sort of meal prep during the summer? Like I'm going all day long, you know, like I don't like, there's not a lot of time to like, you know, go out into your kitchen and cook for like an hour in the middle of the day and then come back into your room and start running Zoom meetings. Like you ain't got time for that most of the day. So do you have actual meals that are prepared, that are ready to rock and roll? Or are you like, just don't eat all day, you know? Or do you like eat fast food or spend a lot of money on Uber Eats? Like, do you have some sort of meal prep? Where would you rate yourself with that? Planning. Okay, daily, morning, and PM check. This is like one of those things, like some of y'all are good at planning and then you don't check your planners. Like you make the plan and then like you don't check it again until next week. Like, are you checking your plan in the morning before you start the day to be clear on, hey, what are my big three? What are my objectives for today? And are you checking at the end of the night to do kind of a recap of like, hey, here's how today went and what am I looking at for tomorrow? Are you consistent with a weekly power hour in your schedule? And then just where would you rate yourself with your overall planner usage?
Hey, Andrew, real quick, could I chime in for a second?
Yeah.
So to back up to the physical fitness and energy with the food and whatnot. So, obviously it's super early now, but when it comes to next summer, guys, like do not eat out every single time. My first branch, I don't even know how much I spent on eating out, simply eating out, because at the end of the summer, I was like, wait, I thought I earned this much, but there's only this much in my bank account. And then I look back and it's like $3,000 spent on Chipotle and bento through the entire summer. And it's like, or something crazy, right? So either cook your own food, get some meal plans. It was easy this summer because I was living at home. So, I was taking advantage of my parents a little bit, but get a meal plan, do something. Do not eat out every single meal. You can't do it.
Yeah, it's a health thing and it's also a finance thing. I remember, I had there's been times where I think I said something to my assistant managers one time, like, I don't know when it was, like all of them were like ordering like Uber Eats to the office and like ordering like, Jonathan, you were one of them. You guys were ordering like $40 sushi things like the office on a Sunday. And I'm sitting here like, yo, I'm like, where is it?
It adds up.
Yeah. And I remember telling him, I was like, look, I know I make more money than all of you all. And I don't feel like I can afford that. So I don't know how you guys are buying this stuff right now. It's like this stuff, like I get it every once in a blue moon, maybe treat yourself a little bit. Maybe you forgot. Okay, whatever. But like, if you're consistently, it's very easy to just be like, oh yeah, I just Uber Eats like 4 or 5 times a week and pay like 3 times the amount for my meals just because it's convenient and I didn't plan appropriately ahead of time. It's a money finance thing. And it's also just like a health thing too. Like, hey, eating quick meals.
Yeah, I'd also add to that. It's like you don't have to not eat out, but don't go like 5, 6, 7 times a week. That's
maybe like you choose one day a week or something like that too. Where you get it there. Cool. All right, let's go to money. On that note, weekly budgeting, tracking. Like, are you aware of your finances on a weekly basis? Are you tracking? Do you have a budget that you're actually like holding yourself accountable to? Do you just kind of like spend money? Like even as a branch manager, I would evaluate yourselves during the summertime. Like to Mason's point, like branch manager pay can be deceiving because you have a lot of money coming into your accounts. There's expenses that you're paying for, but you're also making a lot of money, but not necessarily all that money is yours. Some of that's the business's money, right? If you guys want to listen to a good podcast I did by Robert Gonzalez, he talked about one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make when they're starting a business is like they don't know how to respect the business money versus the personal money. And when you're running a branch, you're running a business, so you have like the business money, you can take the profits, and put it in your account, but like some of that has to be used for like expenses and expense control. And if you're just like, hey, I got paid $4,000 this week, it's like, well, some of that's going to go towards SMRAs and chipping into this stuff too. But if you're like, I made $4,000, I'm rich, I can just buy out and eat out, whatever. And then you get to the end of the summer and you're like, oh shoot, I personally spent all my profits this summer on things that were not business expenses. Monthly tracking, annual budgeting tracking. $100 rule, which is just like, not even just with me, but how good are you at seeking counsel before you make big purchases or financial decisions? Do you have forced withholding set up and then meal prep and groceries, again, to Mason's point. Money continued. Do you have separate accounts? Like, okay, number 1, do you even have a bank account? Number 2, do you have a savings account, a Cutco account, a tax account? Like, do you have your accounts separated into buckets? I was talking to Chloe Corey about this, kind of how to set that up too. Do you have buckets essentially for your money set up? Do you understand how to file taxes? Have you paid your taxes? What's your area of expertise there? And then do you have financial circles of influence? Do you have people that are helping you with your finances? I can't tell you guys. I mean, I wish I had more of those at a certain time period in my life because I made a lot of financial mistakes that if I could have spoken to the right people, I might not have made. And then what would you rate your overall, like, just financial acumen level at? I'm going to speed through these a little bit faster, guys, just because I want to make sure we get through them all. Circle of influence. Learn from, learn with, teach for. You could even put them in parentheses here if you wanted to. And I would kind of just evaluate, you can evaluate this based on the quality of the people that are in that circle, or just like, hey, can you, boom, learn from, I got 3, boom. Learn with, I got like 1 or 2, you know, maybe you like give yourself like a 3 in that area because you're still trying to find someone else in that area. Teach 4. So it might be like that actual amount of people. It might be like the quality of the people that you have on that list. Communication in general. Okay. In general, how are you with communication? This is, I think this is what I think about, like, hey, rate yourself how you think I would rate you based off your communication skills with like me and your district managers and things like that too. Are you on top of it? Response to WhatsApps. How good are you at WhatsApp? Like, are you the person that like, it's just like, there's too many group chats all the time and you never know what the hell is going on because like shit's just nonstop messages and you're like, what is going on? You get back to requests super late. You guys don't really need to be that good at email anymore because we use WhatsApp for pretty much everything. Appropriate professional communication to superiors. You know, when you have challenges and problems, you know how to reach out appropriately, right? Like you guys would be like, Jeff made more exceptions and excuses for me than probably anybody, you know, but that's because I had a good relationship with him. I also I knew how to work with my boss. And I knew how to like make sure I knew what pissed him off. I knew what was frustrating with him when I sent messages in certain ways. I also knew, you know, what was appreciated, what's well respected, and I developed a relationship with Jeff at the time. And I knew how to have an appropriate communication with him where he felt respected and supported, and I also got more respect and support because of that. Presentation and image. Overall presentation of self. How do you think other people see you? You know, and if you ever, these might be good ones to like ask around other people, like actually ask. Professional attire. Which I think is, especially for a lot of our first years, a lot of our NLG, I know you guys are good. Some of our first years, eventually we will have in-person things and you will need to dress sharp for those. You know, we have a culture of professional dress and professional image, which is great. And I got to imagine that a lot of y'all have never had to, we haven't really had to dress up for anything other than like a conference, and you can put on a blazer that doesn't really fit you and no one will really know because you're sitting down on the video camera. But, you know, eventually you're going to have to probably go to something in person. So professional attire, grooming and hygiene. I know it sounds funny, but like, I'm telling you right now, like I've seen people that have struggled in the business with like recruiting just because, and this is a hard one from like your manager to tell you, but I'll just tell you from the outside looking in, because they had terrible grooming and hygiene. Like people could, like, it looks like they haven't showered. People could smell them, you know, like those are little tiny things, but like they impact stuff. Your energy levels. Are you like high energy pouring in other people? Or are you like always like kind of dead? Are you always tired? Or are you know, struggling to get energy during the day? Positive impression. And then just what's your professionalism, like maturity of language? Are you the person that's like, you know, every other sentence and word that comes out of your mouth, like, dude, bro, like, sick, you know, curse word, blah, blah, like, you know, but like, whatever. Is that constantly your language, or do you have good, mature, professional language ability? Self-management. Okay, these are the big ones, I think, in self-management. How's your overall emotional management? By the way, emotional management is not, hey, my ability to block out all of my emotions. That's not emotional management, by the way, at all. that is ignoring your emotions, which I would rate as bad emotional management. Okay, but what's your ability to deal like with emotions? I'll let you guys know something personal. Like I went through a breakup in the middle of the summer, you know, this past year, with someone I was dating for 4.5 years. That was something that was a lot for me emotionally, but like I also have good emotional management, and I know how to still be able to like deal with my emotions and also still show up and be present in the business. Some people, you guys like have something happen like emotionally, and like it literally destroys everything else in your life. You have like one area, like this friendship or this family member or relationship or XYZ happens, and like all of a sudden like it sabotages your business and school and everything because you just have trouble dealing with your emotions. Approach or handling of D2, like your navigation of like when you're going through those ebbs and flows and those seasons, like you're going through a low season, what's your management of that? Process for stress and conflict management. Are you a solution finder or a problem reporter? Are you the person that's like, hey, you know, very, very easy for you to like find problems with everything? Or like you're the person that's like, hey, here's like something I noticed and I have a solution for it, or I've got an idea at least. How would you rate your overall maturity and perspective on business and life? overall decision-making process. Prompt, like just are you on time to things? Were you the person that was on this call at 9:45 a.m. or a person that was like, oh, it doesn't start until 10 o'clock. I'll hop on right at 10. Open to feedback, constructive criticism. Like how open are you to receiving and hearing from other people? You know, I know some of you guys on this call are like very, very open. You're like, give me some more criticism. What can I do to improve? What can I be better? You know, and other people, it's like, you know I have to like kind of dance around with you a little bit and like kind of sprinkle a grain of salt because you don't take feedback very well. You know, so what's your level of being open to feedback and their overall maturity level? Team dynamics. How would you rate other people's in TLA and just in our business, their respect level for you? Likability from colleagues, right? Just from the people that you work with, in general. And also, how do people like you when you're under stress and pressure and the heat of things? You know, it's like everyone likes blank except when, you know, things aren't going well and then they're an asshole and then they're mean to everybody or they treat people differently, right? Or is it, you know, the same? And we'll be able to finish this exercise. Everyone stay on for me if you can, please, while we finish this. And then again, I'll open it up to people to hop off if they I need to, and then everyone else will work on the edge plan. So others respect to you, likability from colleagues, like works well with equals, subordinates, direct above you, and then TRA. Where would you rate this? Trustworthy, respectfulness, accountability. And again, not what you think you're trustworthy. Like, how do you think other people would rate you on this one? Overall, when you say something, do people know you mean it? Are you respectful? Are you really highly accountable? Or are you the person that's like, oh, I know I told you I'd get this day, but like now I'm going to get to you on this day. My bad. Give me a thumbs up if you're done with the personal section. Cool. We're going to keep going on. All right, go to Cutco business skills topics. Apex interview, the group interview. Where would you rate yourself on ability to just run the interview itself, 1 to 5? The post interview is not on there, but I'd probably add on that. Steroid and 5-star interview. Have you ever done like a one-on-one interview with one person over Zoom? PR calling. Scale 1 to 5. And I would just, by the way, don't just make up a number. Like, what were your shows this summer? What have your shows been in the past? If you're like I would call 5. If you're like consistently above 70% shows, you're gonna probably a 5. You know, if you're 60 to 70, you're probably a 4. If you're 50 to 60, you're probably like, you know, 3, 3.5. If you're below 35%, I'd call that like a 2 or 1. Social media proficiency. Okay, what's your overall understanding of social media? Like some of you guys are very, very familiar with it. Some of you guys, that's like kind of, you don't really use it very much. So you're not as familiar. What's your Instagram following? Like, we're going to talk about this tomorrow on our TLA Prep, but like, by the way, we're living in like the 21st century. Almost every single person, and some of you guys don't even realize that this has negatively affected you this summer. Almost every single person that interviews you with you is going to look you up on Instagram before they go into the interview. Most of them will try to find you. You know, people before they hire you will look you up on Instagram before they hire you. Okay, so it's like, I'm not even talking about, hey, following in your territory for recruiting. I'm just saying, hey, it's credibility. You know, like, do you look like just like I don't know, do you look like someone sketchy on social media? No one knows who they are. None of their friends know who you are. Or like someone that has maybe some credibility behind you. Let me go back. Cool, keep going here. I'm going to speed things up. Quality of content posted, consistent posting on social media. SMRA program, where would you rate yourself in your ability to find social media recruiting assistants? Where would you rate your ability to like hire them? Do you find them and then none of them are interested in the job and they don't show up to training, or like you consistently able to hire them? SMRA training, SMRA management. Training day 1, day 2 overall. Now again, you guys, most of y'all won't even run training during the summertime. But where would you rate yourself here with these things? Turn the main talk to training. If you've never ran training before and you have zero understanding of how to execute, you could probably just put ones for those. If you've ran it before, then you have no idea. If you've watched training but you haven't ran it before, you can give yourself higher scores on some of those. AT1, phone jam, social hour execution. And then the coaching is like the teaching part. So are you good at getting, every single rep to average 5 demos during your phone jam in AT1? Are you good at really running a successful social hour execution? Have you even done it before? And then the actual teaching portion of it is the coaching. Are you able to have reps that come to AT1 and they actually go out and sell their afterwards on Monday and Tuesday, or they come AT1 and then, continue to suffer, struggle? Meetings, Wednesday team meeting. What's your overall just execution of meetings? How well are you at just running a team meeting on a Wednesday night? Can you run something that's and you have multiple parts? This is the actual meeting itself. Are you able to do you know how to prepare a keynote? Are you able to give an inspiring message? Objectives and things to hit on each week. Running a good PSP meeting. And then this is just whether it's a Wednesday or Sunday. How good are you at setting up the phone jams? How good are you at executing them? This is driving and managing the jam. This is the PDI that happens before the jam. PDI, Tuesday PDI, Friday PDI, Tuesday PDI. That's what sets up Sunday, or sets up Wednesday, excuse me. Friday benchmark PDI. Are you able to create some weekend gunners, weekend sales, and get strong attendance to Sunday? First weekend sales coaching. Are you able to consistently get 1K ahead from first weekenders? You know how to coach them throughout their first weekend? I would include your zero seller percentage in this too. If you have a strong amount of zero sellers, the first weekend PDI probably needs an improvement. Days 4 through 10, if I'm a branch from this past summer, was that even existent in your office? You've coached them the first weekend. Do they get coaching days 4 through 10? Overall coaching skill set. Where you yourself overall. Then they have PCs, okay, which are one-on-ones, personal consultations. Do you know how to do a good push PC? Could you push PC someone for SC2 or for SLC or for the secure the cut push? Do you know how to do a good push to paint vision, tie them in, get them connected, get them committed? Can you do a Cutco through college PC with someone, which is hey, helping them map out their next 2, 3, 4 years here? Schedule PC. Do you know how to do a PC with someone where you take them off the base pay and teach them how to close on an essential set instead of the homemaker set? Hey, how's that conversation go? Day 4 and day 11 PCs. Stump speeches and promotions. This is just in general, okay, if I go, hey, Taylor, all right, talk to me about why the SE2 push is epic. If I go, hey, Julia, talk to me about why I should go branch. Do you know how to, do you have, all right, cool, boom. 2 minutes rapid fire. Can you give a stump speech on, these things right here too? So push, TLA and Cutco through college, the next conference, SC1, SC2, SLDM, or going branch. And last 2 categories, staff management. Okay. Do you have a history? Have you developed candidates for staff and TLA in the past? What's your retention of your assistant managers? Branch manager deployment from summer assistant managers. Consistent staff selling culture. Staff schedule and expectations management, ability to scale, create layers. Most of y'all have never managed a staff before, so I realize that would probably be a lower area. Technical skills and knowledge. I think these ones are important, by the way, and now in this virtual business. This was not on here, last year. What's your expertise level at Zoom? What's your expertise level at Google Spreadsheets? Do you know how to make spreadsheets and use them during the summertime? If you don't, you should learn before next summer. Google Calendar, you know how to use that guy. Mic, lighting, audio configured. How is your setup this summer? Can you have a better one set up? Do you have do you have a high quality computer or something like that functioning? High performing laptop. Miscellaneous, just overall, where would you rate your public speaking ability? Not just on Zoom, but just in general. Personal selling and career sales. And your rep and leader development. Cool. Once you have all those, take a quick second. Add up your total scores for each section. I realized, was music not playing this whole time? It was just playing for me.
It was. I could hear it.
Nice slightly in the back. Cool. Everyone give me a thumbs up if you're completely done with rating yourself. Cool. I think we're good to go. Whoops. Okay, cool. All right, so I want you guys to take a quick second, and as you're looking at your sheet, what you need to do now is evaluate. And by the way, you might be low in some areas, and they're not necessarily priorities. You know, like you might have some areas where it's like great, and like that also, like I'm low in staff management. I'm not even gonna have a staff next summer. Not something I need to focus on right now. You know, might be, hey, I'm low in the training seminar, which most of you probably are. Some of you all need to learn training. Some of y'all don't need to learn training. If I'm a branch manager, you don't really need to learn the training seminar. You know, if I'm a district manager, probably something good to add, but maybe not top priority. Some of you all, again, you need to really focus on Cutco and the business. Some of you all, like most of your Cutco and business is doing pretty well. You just need to like actually focus on like the personal stuff. Or maybe it's mostly Cutco business, but there's a couple of things in the personal area that are making it really hard and sabotaging all of your other areas there too. So I would just make a quick list, and here's the next thing that we're gonna do. And again, we'll do this, we'll kind of wrap up the NLG session with this today. But in the folder, there is a fall growth edge plans. This is what you want to click on. Okay. And at the bottom of it, it's got examples of all different things that you could work on: generating quality recruits, training seminar, you know, driving the phases there too. I didn't put phase, I messed this up here a little bit. But basically you got kind of 3 phases. There's actually supposed to be, I'm going to re-upload the document, but there'll be, I don't know why it formatted weird. Phase 4 is actually supposed to be up here too. These are the phases of your edge training. So you have from now until SLC, which is really like 2 weeks left of that period, you know? So I would evaluate question. What from that list, of that giant list that we just came up with, which of that stuff have you actually been working on? Have you worked on any of it? You know, and then what can you do the next 2 weeks to still kind of get some impact there? Phase 2 is going to be October to like Thanksgiving, basically. It's that only in time period. This is the most important time period during edge training. Like this is where you impact your training the most. It's what happens between SLC and we call it the Olean, was what it's called last year and previous years, but it is the fall classic event this year too. So SLC and fall classic, like Thanksgiving time period, that's the second phase. The third phase is basically the winter break. It's the, hey, coming out of class and exams to, you know, the first 2 or 3 weeks in the new semester. And then phase 4 is more like for most people, which that's why I'm not too worried that it's got copied and pasted down here. If you download this document, you can copy this and bring it back up here. And you can delete this stuff here too. But it's what you're doing basically in the spring to do the final button up on training things that you're going to do before you get ready to open up your office here too. So the assignment that's going to be due this Friday at 9 a.m. is to look at your scorecard evaluation and to review it. And I would make a list of like all the things that you want to like focus on the fall. Like I'd take that scorecard and make like your hit list for training. All the things that you want to work on specifically that you want to be intentional about growing. And then you need to look at this syllabus or look at this edge plan and like just start copying and pasting things over. Okay, I need to work. I'm going to like kind of choose when you're going to work on what things, right? Like I'm going to take these two, I'm going to take these things. I'm going to put this into phase 1. That's what I'm going to be working on from now until blank. I'm going to work on this during this period to this period. I'm going to work on this from this period to this period. And like, hey, make a list of all the things that you feel like you want to work on and put them into there. And I would also talk about what does that look like, right? So, you know, maybe it's getting in an office. Maybe it's reading a book on that subject. Maybe it is, you know, doing some sort of specific activity. But I would try to make it like oriented towards like what activities it is, what you're going to be learning. Maybe it's watching videos and scripting. Maybe it's watching a video of someone run an AT1 and scripting it out, or running an interview, or running your first interview. Like you have to kind of come up with it. And I'm going to give you guys the flexibility of kind of coming up with your own edge plans here. You know, this is something I had to review with your managers, but I want you guys to be able to guide yourselves through this process, because I think it's a lot more powerful when you're deciding and you're like making choices on like, hey, here's what I want to be able to focus on in my training, versus your manager telling you, hey, I want you to do this, 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 and this, you know? So this will be due Friday at 9 a.m. And I'm going to give people some time here. I'm going to leave the Zoom up. It's 12:15 already. So I'm going to leave the Zoom up probably for the next like 30 to 45 minutes to give people some time period to work on it. You guys can ask me questions, use me as support. I would just do it now. You know, you're already on the Zoom, we're already in the mode, we're already in growth mode, you know, so I'd kind of take it and just finish it off. If you have anywhere to go that you have to go to, I'm not going to do, we're a little bit over, so I won't do any formal goodbyes, but I'll kind of just leave the Zoom up for a little bit. And what I'd like you guys to do is post your biggest light bulbs. When you do hop off, post your biggest light bulbs from today into the NLG chat. And I'll queue up some music. Anyone have any questions before we work on the edge plan? Cool. Everyone pretty clear on the assignments and direction on take on this? All right, awesome. And there's I included a couple extra edge plans. Yeah, so if you have like something like class and like that too that you have to get to, no problem. You know what the deal is. You've already gone halfway through the assignment. You'll finish it up afterwards. If you don't have a class, I just recommend doing it now, but you're definitely not required to here too. So if anyone has some questions, I'll stay on for a few minutes. I'll get some music jamming. And it's been a great NLG session today, ladies and gents. There's some extra examples in here on some of people's, this is a more specific like edge plan. They have like the YouTube videos and exactly what they're scripting. This example of 2018 and 2019, what they were working on in each phase.